It's Thursday. It's 6 o'clock, 7 on the East Coast, and 4, I think, on the West Coast. Something like that. You lazy bastards. Welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. I'm Tom Connors. With me, as always, is the Script Doctor. He has the cure for all your entertainment needs. How you doing, sir?
I am doing well. Great to be here.
Always glad to have you. And also with us, the one, the only, Mexican Iron Man, Mike.
Tom, did you need me to do some traditional Hispanic folkloric dance for everyone since we're in a new month?
Why not?
Oh, shit. I thought you actually called on me. I for sure was such a good signal.
Well, when you're ready, we can have that. And I'm sure Jesse will be along shortly. But also joining us today, an old friend of the channel and a good friend of ours, Mr. Matthew Kadish. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you because you actually have some insight on some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. And I'm glad.
As always.
Yes, indeed. Well, especially into this because you have some personal connections. Yeah. And, of course, you're one of those who has always been vocal about Mr. Kurtzman's because we're still going to get into that as well. And, yes, Hamdinger, I am here. I am here. And Hail Valiant Renegade, how you doing, buddy? Hail Miguel, I can't talk today. Hail Goddess of Women, hello, Naked Fame, Dragon Master, Cosmic Squirrel, Lindsay the Cynical Geek. We got Silver Shroud. We got Shoom. We've got, let's see who else. Rory Mitchell, Nikki D, Stephen Otten is all here. Welcome. Dan Henry is here as well. Tiberius Mononoke is here. Thank you for being here, guys. We got Midnight Mike, and of course, Stephanie is also hanging in the chat. Welcome, everybody, to the show. So, yeah, we had a super chat here. Let me see if I can grab that. We had one from Dark Shadow. Welcome. Says, hail all, if Matt and Trey go woke, it's the end.
Never going to happen.
I don't think that'll happen.
Never going to happen. I've met those guys. I've hung out with those guys. Never going to happen.
And that's one of the reasons why we have you here today. So, yeah, the big news, since it was kind of a slow news day after the big news dump of the early part of the week. And Jesse's joining us, so I'll bring him in as well. Hello. Welcome to the show, Jesse. We're just getting started. The big news, of course, today is Matt and Trey have signed a huge deal with Viacom CBS, a.k.a. Comedy Central.
Did you almost say Secret Hideout?
The good guys won, apparently.
In this case, yes. This is a $900 million 6-year deal.
That's so much money.
The creators of South Park have signed a new deal with Viacom CBS Inc., and that it will pay them $900 million over the next 6 years, one of the richest deals in TV history. Trey Parker and Matt Stone will use the money to make episodes of South Park for Viacom's Comedy Central network and to create several spin-off movies for the company's Paramount Plus streaming service.
I love it.
The party said Thursday their first project under the new deal will be a movie set in the world of South Park that will debut sometime ahead of the end of the year. The deal with Trey Parker and Matt Stone is the clearest sign yet of Viacom CBS's growing commitment to Paramount Plus, which actually did get a bit of a boost. They are boasting they have 42 million subscribers now, which, okay, that's good for you. The streaming service trails like the likes of Netflix.
That's 42 million across all their subscriptions.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's a caveat to that as well.
Yeah, that includes BET and Showtime.
Oh, and did you hear the other thing I heard? I heard they're actually including dead subscribers as well.
No.
People who've unsubscribed.
Or basically they call them paused accounts.
That's odd, though. That's not right.
Well, there's a reason why they want Star Trek on all the time.
I'm no longer doing business with you. That doesn't mean I might come back. That just means I'm no longer doing business with you. You can't count me into your numbers right now.
Well, Viacom CBS is looking to the addition of South Park movies to accelerate its growth. The series remains the most popular TV show on Comedy Central, but that's not hard to do. Chris McCarthy, president and chief executive officer of MTV Entertainment Group, approached Parker and Stone about extending their deal with Comedy Central and getting some South Park programming that would be exclusive to Paramount Plus. The company's current strategy is to use the biggest hits on cable to lure customers to its streaming services Earlier this year, McCarthy signed a new deal with Taylor Sheridan, the creator of the hit cable show Yellowstone, to create a spin-off show that will stream on Paramount Plus. The end of June, Viacom CBS had more than 42 million subscribers across streaming services, which include, as Matt just pointed out, BET and Showtime, along with Paramount Plus. As the giant media and technology companies compete in the streaming wars, the value of franchise... I so said it's copyrighted that. The values of franchises like South Park has soared to record heights. Few, if any, production teams have managed to capitalize on the change in the home entertainment landscape better than Parker and Stone, who own 50% of all online rights to the show. Their new deal, which runs through 2027, covers 6 more cycles of South Park and includes 14 made-for-streaming movies. We did a South Park movie in 99, and we've never done another one because the show has been so satisfying, Stone said in an interview from his home in New York. Now we're older, and the idea of what streaming movies can be is pretty promising. When Parker and Stone first created South Park based on short film they made in college, they were nervous. Okay, this is just a bunch of history. Okay, we all know. Okay.
You know what this means, right?
What?
Matt and Trey are going to make a Megaforce franchise.
Sweet.
They could do script. They could do whatever the fuck they want. Take my money.
No, but they'd really like that movie.
I'm down. Whatever they want to do, I'm down.
Well, one of the more interesting parts about this article was about how they've been slowly building up a deep fake studio over the years, and they want to do a full movie with deep faked actors that they can like just take any actor that they want and pop them in there.
Matt Damon.
Exactly. But yeah. I found that was one of the more interesting parts of this article, where they were talking about kind of like where they've been putting their money. And part of it is this deep fake studio. Like
this is a really long article, actually.
Are we going to get Orgasmo too? I'll actually, dude, I know it's nerdy, but I'll actually listen to the entire article. I really want to know everything about it.
Well,
they could do so much because they don't give two shits.
I don't need to read the history, so we'll jump to we do whatever we want, and they are pretty supportive of it, Stone said, as far as referring to Comedy Central. We're the luckiest guys in TV that way. South Park has been on the air for 24 years, making it one of the longest-running series in TV history, outliving every program on Comedy Central except for The Daily Show. Along the way, Parker and Stone have maintained the quality of the series, not to mention their sanity, in part by sticking to a schedule. They only make between 6 and 10 episodes a year. Each season is produced over the course of a few months in Los Angeles. The onset of the pandemic upended their routine last year. Parker and Stone didn't produce a new season of South Park. They did manage to produce a pair of specials, which inspired them to think through some bigger ideas for South Park. They hadn't done a movie since the 2004 Team America World Police, but what if they made a bunch of longer form South Park episodes? And that's kind of what I figured these movies were going to be. Stone is reluctant to use the phrase cinematic universe term, a term worn thin by Marvel and its many imitators, but in many ways, that is what Parker and Stone are now creating. The coming Paramount Plus movies will expand on the existing world of South Park and introduce new concepts and characters. Parker and Stone have always seen themselves as part independent filmmakers, part entrepreneurs. Early on, they were quick to recognize the power of the internet. While negotiating a new deal with Viacom in 2007, Parker and Stone proposed creating a website for the fans to watch recent episodes of the show for free. Stone credits the resulting site South Park Studios with keeping their young fan base engaged while also curbing piracy.
Thank you, by the way. That was awesome.
As part of the arrangement negotiated by their longtime lawyer, Kevin Morris, Parker and Stone secured a 50% stake in all future online deals for the show. That's a big deal. Their stake, once worth pennies, is the basis of Park Country, a company which they own outright, that is now valued at more than $1 billion. Parker and Stone eventually shut down South Park Studios when Viacom licensed the streaming rights for the show to Hulu in an $87.5 million deal. Hulu later re-upped the agreement for about $110 million. In 2018, the streaming rights to South Park once again came up for auction. At the time, Viacom was in the process of merging with CBS, which operated All Access. The streaming service would later be rebranded as Paramount Plus. HBO Max swooped in and outbid the All Access, offering $500 million over 5 years. So the deal with HBO Max sent one of Viacom's most popular shows to one of its fiercest streaming competitors. It also increased the value of the South Park library to a level few shows ever reached. Because isn't that bigger? What was the Friends deal? That was only $100 million for 1 year, wasn't it?
I think that was like 300 million.
Was it? Okay, so that was bigger than this. But yeah,
I could be wrong.
I was going to say it was comparative to this anyway. I was going to say was one of the better things that happened in our financial life, Stone said. We took it to market and established its worth. That's rarely done right now. The team at Park County is now focused on their next big deal overseas. Over the years, Viacom has licensed the rights to South Park to different streaming services in different territories, a hodgepodge of arrangements that currently generates more than $10 million a year in sales. Park County's chief financial officer, Keith Pizzi, is aiming to consolidate everything in one massive overhaul deal for the international streaming rights. Earlier this year, Stone and Parker established $600 million credit facility with HPS Investment Partners, LLC, that appraised their library at close to $1 billion. According to people familiar with the terms of the deal, in addition to the movies for Paramount Plus, Parker and Stone are going to use that money to invest in a wide range of creative endeavors, including documentary series, a weed company.
Oh, they got a brand. I'm buying that.
And a 3D video game that is set in the world of South Park.
Oh, thank Christ. Dude, this is awesome.
Stone and Parker are also currently building a team of this is what Matt was talking about, of deep fake artists who specialize in creating media in which an image looks like a real person is inserted into existing clip, and they have spent the past couple of years working on a deep fake movie. One of the several films they have in development, including a musical, which I'm curious if that's Book of Mormon. South Park pays the bills, and then some, Stone said. Trey and I use that pay for other stuff we want to do. See, they're smart. Stone said the long-term plan is to sell their stake in South Park as well as other assets like the Book of Mormon. In the current frenzied market, such a package would likely fetch a high price. Recently, Reese Witherspoon sold a majority stake in her production company, Hello Sunshine, to a new firm run by former top Walt Disney Company executives in a deal that valued about $900 million, without any assets on par with South Park changing hands.
I know, and the Book of Mormon alone is so popular that you cannot buy tickets for it.
Yeah.
They could charge wherever the hell they freaking want.
Well, they say this is a long-term goal, so I'm sure they're not talking like over the next 10, 15, 20 years probably, because like they're getting up there.
Hey, write a paycheck.
Yeah. We're proud of the fact that years ago we said, let's put the show online and build the audience, Stone said. What a great time to be an independent dealer. That is something we've worked on a long time, and life did come our way. So there you go. Sometimes good things do happen in Hollywood. And now, Matt, let's go to you first, because you actually knew know them sort of, but you actually know people who know them and stuff like that. So you've met them before, and I'm assuming you can agree. I'm assuming anyway. I should say they're very smart guys, right?
Oh, extremely smart. So I met Matt and Trey in, I want to say it was 2004, maybe 2005, at the Santa Monica Film Festival. I had a movie in that festival, and they were there, and I became pretty buddy with Trey's personal assistant, and we used to hang out and stuff like that. And so I'd been to Trey's Brentwood house and hung out there around that time. And Trey is a super smart guy. Like, I can remember when I was hanging out at his place, his assistant was telling me about how he takes a great deal of his money, and he was at the time buying up property in Seattle. And so he has he's like a big landlord. He has numerous properties across the country that he's invested his money in, and he either rents it out or sells it or whatever. And for the longest time, he's just both these guys have had a huge, very smart business head on their shoulders. And so they're also fiercely independent. So I'm not surprised that they've been able to retain the rights to a lot of this stuff, and have basically been wheeling and dealing and getting these massive deals. This is the biggest deal I think I've ever heard of, especially considering the fact that they're able to produce South Park so cheaply. It's all just elements and After Effects that, once they do the script writing and the voice work.
Yeah, they literally make an episode in 6 days.
Yeah, it's super quick turnaround. And so, yeah, like couldn't have happened to a bunch of nicer guys. I mean, they're not really all that nice. They're kind of dickheads, to be honest with you, but they're cool dickheads. So, like all my
as long as
interactions,
they're funny about it.
well, all my interactions with them have always been very positive. But you know, they're not pushovers. They're not in the whole Hollywood sycophant scene. They've always kind of marched their own drummer.
That's what's so brilliant about it. They never have to be.
Yeah,
They never were, and now they never have to be. And they've just done this by themselves, and it's fucking brilliant because they never imploded like most teams do.
yeah, they have FU money now. So
Oh God, yeah, they got enough money to, dude. They're on par with like a prince from some country you never heard of.
Well, not quite, but
They're
something
getting
like
there.
Not quite. They're not that there, but they're
And,
there. They're good. The great thing about them is that the income statement that they have now with this 900 million matches a balance sheet where their assets are worth literally
Wouldn't you
a billion.
just love to do their accounting?
Oh my God! The great thing that I see about this when I read this earlier today is that you know, when you look at say this versus say, let's just say it was 150 to 150 million though, but their cost of developing and executing is so low compared to what you have over here with, you know, these yo-yos with Kurtzman and his stuff, where they're blowing all their cash on, special effects and all kinds of post-production horse crap where there's not, you know, I mean, sure, they're going to, this is great for these guys. They've got so much, not only is the number huge, but they've just got so much margin to let their creativity just go.
well, I'm just wondering how long we're going to see the announcement of a deal to the Jackass people. Because back when I was working at Paramount in 2002, I want to say, that was like Jackass, the movie was their number one highest grossing film under Sherry Lansing's leadership. And
it costs nothing to make.
exactly. And, you know, they're coming out with a new Jackass movie.
Right.
I think if that does well, they'll probably do like a resurgence of the TV show for Paramount Plus or something like that. So, you know, you might see like more deals like this announced, but South Park has been one of the strongest performing properties for Comedy Central for like the longest time. And Comedy Central was, you know, one of, I believe, the Viacom properties. It wasn't in CBS's deal when the two companies were split.
Well,
And
that
so-
might have been because at one point Warner and Paramount co-owned it because it was two channels that got merged. There was the Comedy Network and maybe it was Comedy Central or the Comedy Channel or something like that, and they both merged into Comedy Central. So that's why there's this split deal all this time for years between the two. And then I think a couple of years back, Paramount finally just bought out Warner's part of it or something like that. I can't remember, but like, yeah, because there's like Warner still had a stake in South Park even up till a couple of years ago.
Well, yeah, the really interesting part of this Bloomberg article was about how up until the HBO Max deal where they shelled out $500 million for the streaming rights for South Park, there wasn't a price tag on it. Like that gave it a valuation that led to this deal where they had to factor in, okay, well, the streaming rights for South Park are worth $500 million, and then we want 14 movies. So how much is that on top of that $500 million and all that stuff? And these guys are only making like 6 to 10 episodes per South Park season. So it's like a super, talk about an easy job, you know? But it is going to be interesting to see like how they roll this out. But good for Matt and Trey, man. Like they deserve it.
Roof Korean, the Based, sent $5. I'll have to double check and see if I missed any super chats while I was reading the article, but says, does 900 million even matter these days? Impending lockdowns may lead to a market crash and inflation above 30%. Gonna need wheelbarrows of $4 bread. That is a rabbit hole I don't know if we could really get down into, but as far as like in the purview of how Hollywood works right now, this is a huge deal because this is even bigger than JJ's deal.
And I wouldn't be surprised if at a certain point, if inflation does start to get out of control, Matt and Trey are insisting that they get paid in Bitcoin. So.
That could be too.
Or gold.
Or gold.
Or gold.
Because I think that's part of the reason why they made sure they maintained control over South Park is because, you know, they were somewhat mentored, I guess, in a way by Mike Judge, who, like, I'm sure one of his biggest things was he beat into him, don't sell your characters.
Well, it was funny because at the time that I was hanging out with Trey's assistant, Trey was doing uncredited rewrites on Idiocracy. So there's
Yeah, I knew
definitely
they were close friends. So like,
yeah,
I know.
there's definitely that connection there.
Yeah, and I knew he kind of mentored them early on. I think Trey has said that quite a few times where they talked about it, and that's why he's in the South Park movie. He plays Kenny in the South Park movie. I don't know if anybody.
Oh,
knows
really?
that. Yeah, when he takes off his
And he has a little speech, and he can actually hear his voice.
And he goes, "Goodbye, you guys." That's Mike Judge. Yeah,
you know that's why I love Mysterion so much, because that's when you get the most honest dialogue out of Kenny. Because when he has that little thing back and forth with his little sister, it's very genuine. Yes.
I don't know.
Also Congo
series though, to be honest with you, but yeah.
I got
never used him again.
I got a variation of a question from Chris Novell in chat, who asked, with Paramount being a company that isn't known for being so well managed, where do they get $900 million for this?
Oh, they've got a war chest. I believe the stock prices that they were able to get with the merging helped them get financing. So
you play Monopoly, they flipped all their cards over.
Well,
they've been buying stuff for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
All original scripts for content that they can put on their streaming or license out to other streaming services.
Well, also keep in mind that Viacom is more than just like Paramount, CBS. They're a multinational company. They've got tons of assets
and
across.
CBS is much bigger than we stop to think.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, they got Clear Channel properties, which is like all the billboards and radio stations and stuff like that. They've got like Viacom, like they own so many different companies and so many different industries. Like cash
even
flow
got a couple of law firms under their belt too.
Yeah. Cash flow for them.
National Amusements actually owns all of it, so yeah.
Cash flow for them is not an issue like at all.
Is it even called that anymore?
National Amusements. I think the holding company for Viacom might still be National Amusements, because I know that's what I believe Sumner Redstone owned, like his trust or whatever.
Yeah, and I think it came because of the Six Flags thing is where that name comes in, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. Mecha J says Kevin Smith can learn a thing or two from Matt and Trey. Yes, he could. He could probably learn a lot, and that's see Matt and Trey.
Now let me put this to you in a different way, because I want
to Jesse.
Why Congo? Now, Amy, she was so important to the story overall. Obviously,
you got a thing for Amy.
Obviously, no, because she's the one goddamn thing in that movie that didn't make any sense.
A strong female character in Congo.
I guess so. You know what? You're right.
Valiant Renegade sent us a super chat, says, like a pro athlete contract, it's paid and amortized over the years. Parker and Stone get $1 billion for finished products of their property. Turnkey delivery. Yeah, I mean, there's some things that we're going to definitely get into here, because I want to compare this to the Kurtzman deal, which has been brought up by Darth Maul and a few others in the chat.
But for somebody who deserves it, that's the difference.
Well, the thing is okay. Well, first of all, it has to be said, Star Trek, they own Star Trek, right? And Kurtzman's just coming in and kind of overseeing it, whatever. South Park, on the other hand, is something Matt and Trey have a stake into, where sure the deal's going to be a bit different, but I think the amount difference and the amount of work that Kurtzman's doing in comparison, I do feel like it needs to be pointed out, and I think it's kind of funny. Valiant Renegade says Kurtzman deal at 150 is to manage property of Viacom, likely does not include production budget. That's another thing too. Yes.
Yeah, but these boys, they've been doing this shit for 20 fucking years on their computers at their own studio. They could pump this shit out so easy these days. They just have to write it. Then they need the guys to sit down and actually animate it, which is hard, but they're good. Okay, they get it done quick. Now, I think this is the most brilliant thing that's ever happened in all of media, and I think these two guys are geniuses, because they just got paid way more than they ever had to get paid to do what they were going to do anyway. It's brilliant.
This is a huge win for our fandom.
Dude, these guys are the most straightforward, trustworthy guys.
I gotta tell you, when I read this earlier today, literally my entire outlook changed. I mean, just because I've been feeling really beat up the last week or two, as we know from these shows and other shows. But this is like if we were all physically in person together, we'd be high-fiving each other in a bar. I mean, literally. Yeah. I mean, and the great thing about these shows is they're so rewatchable. You never get to. I mean, it's really weird, right, Jesse? Like, isn't it weird? Like when you watch these over and over again, you know what's coming, you know which episode it is, but you can't but help but enjoy it again. You know what I mean?
That's why it's worth $500 million.
Now, do you guys think that they got this pimp price because the last two things they dropped were hour-long episodes, and they haven't dropped anything of the season besides that? They're just like, look, here's two episodes.
No, CBS Paramount has been doing. They've been upping their like everybody's contracts that they want to keep in house, right? Like that's the whole deal. Like they're trying to make sure that they close up all their deals with everybody for the next few years, so they can plan on Paramount Plus and build that. That's what this is all about. And
they want content that will pull people into Paramount Plus.
Exactly. And like you guys just said, South Park is something that has huge rewatchability. That's why it got basically the Friends deal. That's why.
And not for nothing, South Park is one of those things that will make me subscribe to a service just to watch the new shit. And it's also the type of IP that makes me still buy the damn physical media on top of that. I want eventually, when South Park finally ends, to have a giant box set of some like awesome collector's edition. That's the goal. Swole is the goal, size is the prize.
Has it been 25 years already?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, they started in what, 97? So yeah, pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the next
that brings up a whole other thing, which is that it's endured
boys
because
are growing up.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Well, and that's why Matt and Trey have said that over the years, they had the Simpson effect. The first few seasons of The Simpsons were all kind of revolved around Bart, and then it kind of became the Homer show. Well, South Park took a little longer, but like they said, in the first few years, it was real easy for them to relate to the kids still. But then when they got older and became,
then they got integrity,
shit like that. Well, then the show kind of started leaning more towards Randy.
And dude, I'm the boys, classic characters. They could do anything with the boys, but Randy, that is one of the best goddamn characters that's ever been created. I'm sorry.
I thought this was America.
He gets into everything so easily and so much with all of his heart that it doesn't even matter what the subject matter is. You're
Randy,
just with him.
You don't have to fight. Yes, I do, Sharon.
Yes, I do.
Hello.
I'm scared. Is that all right? There, you want me to say it?
Roof Korean comes in with another one and says, does this send a message to the woke Hollywood? Take Kevin Smith, for example. I wonder if he was forced to destroy something to be able to make Clerks 3. No, I don't think that there's any correlation between Clerks 3 and Motu.
Yeah, but do you think it's biting him right now? Because seriously, like just like you just said, he had to cuck and not make all that much money on this He-Man thing just so he could get his movie made. Meanwhile, these guys are just waving their fucking big dick energy in everybody's face and getting paid for it.
I wouldn't say they're correlated, but just in general, things are related from one thing. I mean, he's in this environment of wokeness, but I mean, there's not a correlation. He's doing Clerks 3.
It's hurt.
It's not quid pro quo with that guy.
And as far as I know, there's no Netflix deal with regards to production of Clerks 3.
Yeah, Clerks 3 was independently financed.
Seriously, I don't understand Kevin Smith as far as I could fucking throw the guy. And I'll tell you why. Because he is going to be put in a position where he is going to make Clerks 3. How the fuck are you going to make that movie and be this woke asshole on the side? How the hell are you going to do that?
I don't know if I'd call Kevin Smith woke, though. Like, I don't.
He's fake woke. He's a fucking phony. That's the worst part. He's got a character that he wrote called fucking Randall. Randall could see through all of this shit all day long, but Kevin Smith can't. He invented the goddamn character. Kevin Smith knows exactly what's going on. He knows exactly what he's doing. And I don't know how he thinks he's going to stand with the rest of us when it's time to release his little fucking movie, because we're all going to be pretty pissed off.
I would argue that Kevin Smith's not fake woke. I think that he's just someone who goes along with what the people who are paying him
He's a sycophant. He's a sycophant.
Yeah, but I mean, like a lot of people in Hollywood are like that, and they do it because that's the way that you get stuff made. Is like you go along with the
exactly. But you know what? When the people with talent say no thanks, that's when you get something going. Because then eventually, enough people that you are willing to actually put money behind will say no thanks.
Yeah, but I
we
don't
don't
look
want
at
to work with you. A guy like Kevin Smith, he made his first goddamn movie off of credit cards. He could have killed himself with that. 28 grand, right? You're telling me this motherfucker with what he's got now in the bank can't figure out how to make a movie that's going to make some money.
You never make a movie with your own
He
money.
could lampoon the shit out of every one of these assholes right now.
I don't think that.
What does he? No. What does he do? He bends the fuck over, he greases up his asshole, and he says, "Stick the fucking sword of power up my bunghole."
I don't think that this necessarily sends a message to quote unquote woke Hollywood. I think that Trey and Matt have always kind of been on their own island within the entertainment industry, and this is just the culmination of their kind of intellect and strategy and their philosophy on how they do business. So
Annabelle brings up a point here. He says they will kill South Park and you're all happy about it. What happened to woke corporations being bad? You were all excited about He-Man and look what happened. Now, there's a big difference.
This is very specific.
Yeah. See,
I've always wanted to see more of South Park. This is what they're going to do. It's still these boys. Yeah, these boys are cool.
Yeah, I say this isn't them bringing in somebody else to take over South Park. This is just giving the guys who've been doing it all this time more money and more,
and also they have like a controlling stake. And
absolutely.
And now let's say, hypothetically speaking, worst case scenario that they destroy South Park. Okay, fuck South Park. Okay, all right. I said it. Look, we got 20-something good seasons so far. Okay, well, 19 and 20, but after that, really starting to catch fucking fire again, right? But anyway, I digress. Fuck South Park. Throw it on the fire. We have the good shit already, right? But they gave them how much money? You know how much they could do once they're able to just have that FU money and just do whatever they feel like? And these two guys are funny as shit.
Well, no, and I understand where people are coming from. Like, it's not like I don't get it. I'm just saying, like, I trust Matt and Trey a hell of a lot more than I trust anybody else in Hollywood. Like, if you gave me a choice and asked me what 5 people out of Hollywood do you trust right now to do anything that's not going to be fucking overly woke or sell out, in a sense, it would be probably Matt and Trey.
Dean Cain, Stallone.
Yeah, maybe Stallone.
Maybe.
I have kind of a funny story about those guys. Where
go ahead, please.
So when I first met Matt Smith, it had just been after Bowling for Columbine had come out. And I saw Bowling for Columbine, and there was a scene there where Michael Moore is interviewing Matt Smith, and they have like these cartoon interludes that look like, the South Park guys made them. And so when I met Matt, I was like, hey man, like, what was up with that scene that you did in Bowling for Columbine? And he was like, let me tell you, Michael Moore is a piece of shit. And he was like, I agreed to do that interview. And it was all cool. And then, like, when you see the movie, he edited it to make it look like I was agreeing with him. And then he added in cartoons that made it look like we did the cartoons. He was a fucking liar. And so these guys, like, they're not truly political. They're very libertarian. And but they don't put up with a lot of bullshit, which is one of the things I always liked about them. So if you're worried about them going woke or bowing to pressure, these guys, as long as they've been in the industry, have not done that.
You got to keep in mind that these two boys aren't your average animal, okay? My boy Fed partied with them before, and they were both on many, many hallucinogens. And I'm serious. Apparently, Trey was riding a statue of a large, like, not a Great Dane, but a similar type dog. Tripping his balls off, just wearing his underwear. But on the other side of their party boy fun, which brings them their hilarity, everybody who's ever said anything about these guys say what? They're down to earth. They haven't changed. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, look at Trey.
Hate Hollywood.
They do. I mean, Trey learned how to play the piano. He's a classic pianist. He's very good. And then you have Matt, who plays bass and a number of other instruments, and they have DVDA. They have a band on the side. It's one of the most legendary bands of all time. We all know this. But, nothing about these boys has ever been compromised. They're punk as fuck. They really are. And that's all I have to say about that. Trey and Matt are punk as fuck. Fuck you.
Oh,
we got,
on Jesse, for what you just said, you're going to get one of these. Hold on.
Somebody's got a soundboard now. Fat Steven says, as a South Park character, I hope I get residuals. Did I do it in the right voice? Probably not. And as Valiant says, Trey and Matt, where's Steven's $500? Yeah, they owe him $500.
They're going to make so much fucking hilarious shit. You got no idea. What happens if, like, you know, with other companies, they'll be like, oh, something in the universe. Well, I'm going to make this thing that's just to push a political agenda. Meanwhile, Matt and Trey are like, let's give Mr. Slave a show. That'd be funny.
That would be funny, actually. I love Mr. Slave.
Yeah. Fuck that. Let's give Lemmy Winks a show. It's just all about being in his asshole.
Not only is it in the movie, it is definitely in the movie. Mm-hmm. No, I
agree.
Dude,
Garrison. How many characters on South Park can you just spin right off? Jimbo and Ned.
Well, one of my favorite story of theirs is when they had the 2 episodes that got censored. With when they showed Muhammad, and South Park's like, we can't show that, and they're like, what do you mean? They're like, we can't show it. It's got Muhammad in it. It's like, well, you guys already have 3 episodes that are airing right now in syndication with him on there, and you're not doing anything about it.
Yep, because they didn't notice.
They're like, what?
When Muhammad was part of the Super Best Friends. He's been a character
at least 3 times now on the show.
He was hanging out with Jesus and Seaman. And
they were pissed as hell, and because like Comedy Central's like, we're getting death threats, and they're like, so.
They're like, so we're in America, haven't you heard?
Yeah, they were pissed about that.
They're like, as soon as the Taliban figures out how to make it to the Colorado Rockies, we'll give them a fucking thumbs up and tell them to come and get it.
Do you remember the episode where Cartman says shit?
Yes,
I love that episode.
The word of curse. That episode is all about cursing because NYPD Blue finally said it.
Yes.
Well,
and they had to say it hundreds of times.
They had a big advertising build up to that episode where it's like on this week's South Park, Cartman says, and then it like bleeped it out. And then like you show up, like you tune into the episode, you think it's all going to build up to him saying it like once. Yep. He says it as soon as the show starts, and then they keep saying it throughout the
and they have a counter. They had a counter at the bottom right hand portion of the screen, telling you how many times. And then the Knights came out, and they came out of stone or whatever, something weird. And it turned out that they really were cursed words.
So, I love South Park. I don't care.
Hi, Nina.
And hey, Nina. Like, that's the thing. And even the last few specials have been And there's been some things in the last couple of years where they've had, you know, lesser episodes. But as somebody pointed out in the chat earlier, and I forget who it was, so I apologize. The reality has gotten to the point where reality is so crazy that I can see where they've had trouble with the show, right? Like, what are you supposed to do at this point when reality has gotten crazier than South Park ever has been? You know, I mean, they almost got to recalibrate in a way. But no, I've loved the last 2 specials, and I hope that they get back on track. So that'd be great.
You know what? They failed with PC Principle for a while. Then they turned it around and made it something cool.
Well, when he had kids with strong women?
Yeah.
Yes, and then the Macho Man episode. Jesus. Was that not fucking predictive or what?
But now, Script, I want to jump to this next thing since Matt stepped away. But now let's compare this to Kurtzman's deal a little bit closer, because to me now that $150 million deal don't look so great. You know what I mean?
It's still overpriced, but it does not look so lucrative.
It looks piddly as shit in comparison. I mean, and I get it. Again, we've already reiterated that. You know,
it shows you where their paycheck lies with talent.
Well, half of it is, like I said, first of all, they own part of the show and the characters, and again, like Valiant brought up, this is also probably including the production budget, I'm imagining.
It's a studio contract. So basically all that money's going to go
into
investment into new technology and products that are going to be exclusive to Paramount Plus.
Yeah. So there's a bit of a difference in the 2 deals. Don't get me wrong, but it still shows. You know, I mean, even if you compare,
they got $900 million technically for 1 show. That's what they get.
Yeah. Now most of the time, if you make a deal that's worth this much goddamn money, it's a one and done. You're looking to retire, right? Not this time. I think this is going to be a launching pad for a crazy amount of new material. And I wouldn't put it past these two guys to start up with this much money. I wouldn't put it past them to start up like a fund or something similar where they could help new creators make funny shit that might be actually profitable in the future, because that goes well all the time. You could have 50 bad ideas, one idea come out of something like that. Now you own a portion of it. Well, that's just more money that paid for the initial input into the whole fucking thing in the first place.
Well, Matt and Trey are actually kind of notorious for not liking to work with other writers.
Exactly, but they don't have to. That's the beauty of the thing. Leave the other fucking writers alone. They could take the final product that someone hands them, just like they had a viral fucking thing, and they'll either like it or they won't.
Well, you know what's funny is, so like there's all this talk how they haven't made a movie since Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. But I would argue that the 2 video games that they made are like a movie. You know,
the first video game was excellent. The second video game was tits.
So like if you look at the stories for those video games, like they're basically like a South Park movie. You know, so like I'm kind of thinking that like their plans for the movies that they're going to be making are going to be very similar to what we saw in the video games.
And that's another great story, is how the video games came to be, because, you know, there was a bunch of video games when the show first hit. Like, the show kind of became a success and they were taken by surprise. And so they were inundated with just all kinds of offers for, you know, toys and dolls and clothing and video games and everything. And at first they were just like, yep, whatever, because they didn't know what to fucking do. And then after a while, they started playing the games, and because they're gamers, and they're like, these fucking suck.
The first game for N64, yeah, except for the fucking dancing machine, the cow launcher that put a fucking cow on the guy's head, it was ass.
And that's the thing. So they got to the point where they were like, okay, and this kind of goes
basic. They were basic as fuck.
Well, not just that. They were like, okay, from now on, we're not going to do this, or we're not going to say yes to video games unless we're involved. And we're going to wait for the technology to get up to snuff to where the games basically run like you're watching an episode.
They do. You know, on my channel, I do have walkthroughs of both games, and they are excellent. But the one thing that the games leave desire, they're not sandbox. They're set up like a sandbox, and it's very close where you can walk around. But it's not like an Elder Scrolls. I mean, I'd love a South Park game that was so fucking deep where you could just like keep walking around this huge version of South Park, and everywhere you look, there was just another mission to start.
Oh, I'm sure they'll get to that point.
I would be like, I take all my money, DLC.
I'm sure that'll eventually come to be. But like, and that's the other thing that was going to bring me to the next point. And this is why I think there's, you know, in this case, I'm a little bit more confident. Annabelle and others in the chat who brought this up is because they vowed twice now that there's certain things that they will never do again. And one was they'll never make a movie while South Park is active, because they feel like the second season suffered from them not being around enough. And that goes to what Script was saying too, is they don't like to work with other people so much. They have a very, very tight group of people that they work with for a reason. And they vowed never to make a movie again during the show because it got in the way of the show. Between making basketball and the South Park movie, and then the same thing kind of happened when they got to Team America.
They had a nightmarish experience working on Team America. Like it was
cost more money to make miniature guns than to use real ones.
Well, the stock went up today.
Well, this is probably more to do to this deal, because the stock went down after the Kurtzman deal.
That's why I'm bringing it up. That's why I'm bringing it up. Right there, you can take a look at the chart on August. This is just the last 2 days.
Yeah. So basically, the drop it coincides with the announcement of Kurtzman's $150 million deal. Here's a massive spike.
Exactly. Here's Kurtzman's deal getting announced.
And I have to bring something up.
Hold on, Jesse. Jesse, give me 30 seconds, bro. Hold on.
Sir.
Here you go. So here's the Kurtzman deal. Right? And then here comes the South Park deal. We're up to $41.56 a share.
Well, and
fascinating.
This is a big
Isn't
deal.
It funny how high it could have been without that?
Well, here's the thing is, though, I think this is a big deal for them is, look, I'm done with Star Trek. I don't care, right? I will avoid it at all costs now. But between this and Beavis and Butthead, these motherfuckers are going to get me to buy Paramount Plus.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Tom, it's so funny you say that.
And you know what? That's fine because you're buying something that's actually enjoyable. That's the key. If something is enjoyable, just fucking buy it. And if it ceases to be enjoyable, cancel that shit.
Yeah, and Tom, you'll get to watch Queen Latifah on The Equalizer.
No, that show blows. Why do you got to put that bad taste in my mouth? That show sucks.
She's gonna get through half of the room and get out of breath and be like, "Hold on."
Yeah, like when they
I catch my breath, I'm gonna whoop your ass.
When they announced
that show would be better if it had that comedy.
But it's funny. It's funny when this announcement came out. One of the things I did, Tom just made me think of this. I didn't even think about this in this whole conversation. I immediately checked to see if I had Paramount Plus. That's so funny.
What were you saying, Matt?
I was saying when they announced season 2 of The Equalizer, you're going to see that stock price go down again.
True.
I want your shirt, by the way. And speaking of, did you guys see that little teaser for season?
Season 4 this December.
Terry Silver, baby.
Hell yeah! The Quicksilver method.
And you know what's funny is that actor had said that he was never going to come back and reprise that character, and it was a total fake out.
I don't know if it was really a fake out so much as he really did. Look, you got to look at it this way. That man got so much shit for so many years for that character. He is one of the most made fun of characters in probably cinema.
Rightfully so, though.
To a point, yes. But I've always stuck up for that character because I love the shit out of that movie. I don't care what anybody says. I love Karate Kid 3. I love Terry Silver. I love Mike Barnes. I got Mike Barnes' fucking autograph behind me, for fuck's sake.
I got that from Mega Jetty.
Yeah, you did. I saw that.
Look, I got to tell everybody this one because it's funny as shit. I had texted Tom the day after the convention, and I showed him the pictures from what I got from Mega Jetty, right? You know, he texted me back. He doesn't text me back any words. He just texted me back a picture. It's the same exact Karate's Bad Boy picture, which the guy's got like over a dozen pictures to choose from. So we picked the same picture.
Yeah.
But he signed it with the same fucking quote.
Yeah, he does.
Tom, have I ever told you my theory for season 4?
Well, tell me right after I finish my point. I was just going to say, I think what happened, though, was that the guys who work on the show came in, they sweet talked him, and they're like, dude, we're going to be able to make Terry Silver the biggest badass he's ever been, and we're going to redeem him for everything. Nobody's ever going to say another bad thing about it. But anyway, what's your theory?
So I think they're going to pull a Darth Vader and have Terry Silver be Miguel's father.
That has been going around for years. I don't know.
Yeah, but how many kids Terry Silver got? Like 5,000?
Well, there's Dennis.
There's Dennis.
Yeah.
Well, if not Miguel, then probably the new chick that was brought in last season.
Well, if you pay attention in the first season, and I think the writers are smart enough where they set this up, where Miguel's mother says that Miguel's father was a bad man. She had to move to America to get away from him.
Yep.
And she was in South America, which is where Terry Silver did a lot of his nuclear waste dumping or toxic waste dumping and stuff like that. And so I think that they laid the groundwork so you think maybe he was like a cartel guy or something like that. No, Miguel's father was actually Terry Silver's. So
maybe
that could be there, and that would still be fascinating. I think
the only thing is a lot of people brought that up to me over the years, and I think the way they do this shit, because they've subverted my theories so many times, where they've still done things that made sense and were even better than some things I could come up with. So I don't know. See, that seems to be too easy. It's almost like, okay, you're almost expecting that. But then the twist is that has nothing to do with it. Later on, that sets them up for another antagonist to come in for Johnny, though. See, because once you get Daniel and Johnny as friends, I was thinking at it from that writing perspective. Because once you have them friends, which is what this next season is going to be about, is them building a friendship.
Not so much friends, but allies.
Exactly, allies. So then you got to introduce another aspect, especially considering, I believe, a lot of the stuff with Kreese and Silver is going to kind of come to a head this season. They'll have to have something to open up for the next part. And once they get Johnny getting into more of a relationship with Miguel and his mom, it'll be this instance where Miguel's father will show up, but Miguel will gravitate towards him, and that'll cause a love triangle between, the whole thing. And also just dealing with the fact that Johnny's been his father figure all this time, and now this asshole shows up out of nowhere. Kind of thing.
Well, also Mike Barnes, the character, is coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
There's rumors, but
no.
What'd you say, Jesse?
Bullshit. Because I just met this dude and I was like, so what you got to say about Cobra Kai? And he was like, well, I hope everything goes well. I was like, that sounds like you can't talk about it type of talk. Like maybe somebody signed something that you can't speak. You just looked at me like I'm an asshole.
He's listed in IMDb as being in the
Has he? I missed that. God damn it. Because I've been talking to him for a while.
Matt, do you think they're going to roll him in to further entice all of us nerds about Terry Silver coming in? Or do you think they're going to just drop Terry Silver up front?
And I've been saying this from the start. Mike Barnes owns at least, I think, 30% of Cobra Kai. And Terry Silver owns the rest.
Really?
Yeah, because the deal they make in part 3, Terry buys up all of Cobra Kai, so Kreese doesn't have to worry about it. And then the deal he makes with Mike is he gets 50% if he wins, but he gets, I think, 30% if he doesn't. Or no matter what, he gets 30%.
So they're going to roll Mike right into Terry.
Mike and Terry own Cobra Kai. Kreese doesn't even technically own it.
Yeah, he's just a psycho.
Yeah. And that's why they brought Terry up in season 1, because they're like, who's this Terry Silver and what is his connection to Cobra Kai? And Johnny's like, I have no fucking idea, because he doesn't, So they're really good at this.
These guys are beautiful because he has no idea who the hell he is. That's awesome. That's going to be great in the next.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they were able to take the characters from Karate Kid 2 and kind of integrate them into the show makes me really excited to see what they're going to do with the characters from Karate Kid 3.
I still think Hilary Swank's going to show up too.
I think they're
teased her already.
Yeah, his young rival in part 2, man, that guy was a fucking killer. Yeah, now he was his teacher. That was a great turning point.
In terms of Hilary Swank, though, I think that they might be saving her for season 4.
I think you're right, but here's the reason why. In the season 2, I think it was, where they're doing the balancing act with Johnny's kid and Daniel's kid, the first thing he says, this has been a long time since there's been 2 students in this dojo.
Yeah, and the writers have this thing in their kind of writer's room called the Miyagi verse, which basically means that anything that Pat Morita showed up in is canon.
Exactly. Yes, and so yes, they have said Karate Kid 4 is definitely canon. And they do expect that they have crossed over and met at some point, so don't count her out at any point. And that's where I think that's who I think he's referring to when he says it's been a long time since there's been 2 students. I think it was a similar lesson that Miyagi taught him and her. And then he just found his own unique Miyagi way to teach it to them too, with the koi pond.
Yeah, I do hope that they continue to bring Chosen back though, because
me too.
I love him. Yeah.
Well, and he needs to be there as a counterbalance to Johnny and to Daniel.
Yeah.
Again, that's going to be a big part of the first part of this next season. I bet is those 2 learning how to work together. So, the podcast with Ian Slater says, "I wonder if they will woke South Park do a woke South Park special." Well, they kind of did with PC Principal. They already kind of covered some of that shit.
So good.
That's the thing is everybody's like expecting them to cover this stuff. It's like they've been covering woke shit for years. It's like they're past this already.
Oh, yeah, they've been making fun of that stuff for a long time.
Exactly. Like they've been way, way, way past all.
Like one of the beauty of South Park is like they don't discriminate in who they make fun of. It's like anyone is fair game.
Even their friends.
Yeah.
That's the funny part because they're like friends with like Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. They were even friends with like Russell Crowe and all these guys they've made fun of before.
I don't know if I'd ever told this story on stream before, but when they were doing Team America, Alec Baldwin, who he's got a really good sense of humor. Like he did 30 Rock and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He when he heard that they were using him as a character in Team America, he called them up and he was like, "Hey, I would love to voice myself for your movie," and they were like, we actually found someone who does your voice better, bye. And they like hung up on
my other favorite story from that is the letter they got from Sean Penn. Did you hear about that?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Okay,
I haven't heard the story.
He of course they do his puppet in the movie, right?
Yeah.
And the word got back to him that he was in the movie, and he got all upset about it and sent him a letter. And the funny thing is he actually printed it too in the public. So it's out there, and Matt and Trey just couldn't help but laugh about it because they're like, dude hasn't seen the movie yet because it ain't come out. But every fucking thing he wrote in the letter is exactly what he's saying in the movie. It's like, I've been to Iraq. I've been through this. It's real. It's war. It's like all the same shit he says in the movie. It's like, God, did he get a hold of a script? It's like, what the hell?
And when they got the Matt Damon puppet, originally it was just going to be like a more straight take on Matt Damon, but the puppeteers messed up the face so much that they were like Matt Damon looks retarded. They're like,
they melted him, right?
Yeah, let's just play him as retarded.
I guess Matt Damon loves that too, by the way. Of course, they're friends, like I said. Yeah. Same thing with Ben Affleck, even though they've made fun of him quite a few times. Yeah. And Roof Korean says, Tom, time for a Cobra Kai refresher recap special. Maybe. You know what's funny is I put a lot of work into that Cobra Kai / Karate Kid retrospective we got over on the main channel, and like nobody watched it. And that goes back to, something we were talking about on your stream earlier, Jesse, where it's like,
that's crazy.
Like
I watched it.
We do nothing but hate in this community. It's like, yeah, because nobody watches the positive stuff. That's why, they just ignore it, and it's like it's not there. But here we have been just loving Trey and Matt for the last hour, and then plus, the last portion of this hour talking about Cobra Kai, which we all love, evidently.
Yep.
So it's just to me, I mean, those are the two best shows still.
Also, Cobra Kai makes fun of all the woke shit too.
It does.
Dude, it makes fun of everybody in every circumstance and condition, no matter who they are, where they're at, what they're. I mean, it's across. That's America.
Every time Miguel brings up woke stuff with Johnny just kind of like slaps it down. It's hilarious, and you can tell the writers are very much aware of what the woke response is to these things, and they just kind of nip it in the bud. It's masterful what they do.
Absolutely. Nina says, LOL, tell me about it, Tom. I do definitely hope every Friday, and it's barely...
No, she has infinite hope.
Oh, infinite hope. It's barely watched. Oh, it's because you talk about stuff you like. That's why.
Oh my God. And some of the stories that she covers are so emotional, man. Oh my God. Some of them
we try to shill for good stuff. Like even the same thing happened with Orville. Like nobody watched our reviews. Like
really?
Nobody. Yeah, they never. Not nearly as much as Star Trek Discovery. Lapita is here, by the way.
What?
Mike.
What? Where?
Maybe Mike can ask Trey and Matt to pay off my alimony.
Oh, son of a bitch! What the hell? Son of a gun! We have a special guest.
The timing of this deal came really good for I think Trey, because he was recently divorced, I think last year, so he doesn't have to worry about that money being.
Oh shit! Did he get?
Was he? That's a shame.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that. That's too bad. But yeah, no. Otherwise, like I'm thinking, I'm with Jesse on this. I'm excited. This means more South Park stuff, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because around this time, at least 2 years ago, when the streaming wars were kind of kicking into high gear, we saw a lot of news articles about like the overall deals that were going on with like Benioff and Weiss at Netflix and J.J. Abrams at Warner Brothers, and all this stuff as the studios were positioning themselves to like really gear up for like the content delivery. And then COVID happened, which kind of like shut down everything for a while, and now it seems to be gearing back up again, where a lot of these streaming services are trying to lock in creatives that can churn stuff out. So it's kind of interesting. I'm wondering what Paramount's next move is going to be in terms of like the people that they're trying to attract to their service.
Well, and that goes back to my whole point of basically Kurtzman is the bottom of the barrel getting the bottom of the barrel deal. Let's be real. That's what that is. This really puts that one into huge perspective now, because we're all like, how could they make such a? It's like, yeah, that was nothing. That's basically Paramount admitting defeat. I think at this point with Star Trek, they're like, well, he's fucked it up this much. Might as well just continue to let him do it since he's doing it. And again,
really, that seems like that's the most incompetent approach.
I know, but they don't
just let him finish.
You let it pale out the contract, and you're like, okay, bye bye.
Well, Kurtzman's had relationships at Paramount for like a long time.
It's relationships.
No, he's got 20 years of mingling with them.
I was just going to say this Star Trek deal is actually, again, just like I said before, with him doing it for 5 years for $40 million. We don't see it the way they do. They seen that as him doing them a favor. Like, and that's kind of what this is too, probably. Like, and I know I get people don't understand that when I say that shit, but it's like I keep reminding them. Kurtzman, J.J. Abrams, all these guys, they're not seen. Michael Bay, even, they're not seen the way that we see them in Hollywood. And I know script and
yeah, we see a steaming pile of shit. They see a god.
Well, yeah, they see the guy that made the biggest. One of the biggest movies of all time was Star Wars. They see the guy that quote unquote reinvigorated Star Trek.
Yep.
That's the thing. That's what they see. They don't see
reinvigorated it right up the ass.
In Kurtzman, they see a guy who's easy to work with. He makes the top talent happy. Now, that doesn't speak for the rest of the environment that he creates, as we're starting to get a bigger picture on that. We're starting to hear how toxic of an environment it is for individuals who work there, which is just insane.
We hear how he doesn't pay people different bills that are due.
Well, yeah, I don't know about all that noise, but White Knight says, I wasn't going to watch Orville reviews from anyone. It got shown later in the UK, and I wanted to avoid spoilers. That's a good point, White Knight. That should be pointed out. So when people like stuff, they want to avoid spoilers and stuff, so they don't tend to watch videos about that said thing until after the fact. And I think that's why people avoided our Cobra Kai video. We even made it abundantly clear that there was no spoilers in that video either. Nikki D says, think Paramount will do more with Mission Impossible franchise, like show or spin-off films. That's a good question.
I think that they would want to, but they have to negotiate with Tom Cruise over that.
Yeah, there's Paramount. I do know wants to do a Mission Impossible miniseries on Paramount Plus, but Tom Cruise isn't agreeing to any of those terms yet. I think he wants to wait for Mission Impossible 7 and 8 to be.
He has to get the okay from the Church of Scientology first.
Probably.
Yeah,
how much did he pay for? How much did he pay for Mission Impossible back in the day?
I don't know. Well, here's the thing: Mission Impossible was with just like Star Trek, it was split up. So there was a point where they probably CBS could have made a Mission Impossible and he couldn't do shit about it. But now that everything's remerged, he might, I don't know what control he has over the franchise.
I think Tom Cruise has a controlling interest in.
I was going to say, I'm sure his,
that was part of. I don't even think he had to spend a dime on that. It was just part of the conditions of him doing the movies.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised in the least, not at all.
Yeah, and he's still making Mission Impossible films, so.
Yeah, him and Christopher McQuarrie right now are doing their two with Haley Atwell. I think is into both of them as well.
Yeah, and I know J.J. Abrams still has his fingers in that franchise as well.
Yep, he does.
Yep.
Since part 3, isn't it?
Yep.
Since he technically revived that film franchise after this.
And Kurtzman worked on Mission Impossible 3 as well. So
yeah, and we got a couple of PayPal comments here. Willie says, wanted to show some love. Got nothing to say but this. But I'm glad you're on today. It's been a grind. Well, I'm glad we can be here for you, Willie. Hopefully your day gets better. And then we got another one here from, it looked like Brandon Wolf. He says, just goes to show how far Cherkham, I think he meant Kurtzman, has taken Star Trek down. That $900 million deal could have been his parents said it's now. It could have been his, I think he meant to say. I think he must have used voice to text for this. Said now it's South Park's. I also think it goes to show how lacking content Paramount Plus is. Well, those are all very good points. And thank you for that, Brandon. As you can see, I pinned at the top. If you want to send us something to PayPal to bypass the Google monster. Plus, I think you can write a hell of a lot more in the comment section.
Yeah, it's now restricted to 200 characters.
Yeah, exactly. So, or by how much you pay anyway.
Right.
So that way you can send however much you feel comfortable with, and you can send us a little bit longer message, and you don't have to deal with all the BS. I think depending on how you send it to me, I don't lose as much that way. So I can actually pay these hooligans, even though Script won't let me pay him, or Mike for that matter. Half the time.
Nope, can't do it.
That's right.
Can't do it. Wouldn't be prudent.
But you do make a good point. Like, yeah, Kurtzman and JJ did kind of help stimulate Mission Impossible to a franchise. But I do know that from Tom Cruise's perspective, Kurtzman's not allowed anywhere near him after The Mummy.
Yeah, like, I had heard a lot of rumors about when they were making The Mummy together, and Tom Cruise basically had to direct that movie because Kurtzman was so out of his depth, doing that $100 million movie. And after the film bombed, Tom Cruise is very good at cutting out toxic people from his life. And so, like, anyone who can tank a Tom Cruise movie is someone Tom Cruise doesn't want to be associated with going forward. So I'm not surprised that, there's a reason why Universal basically locked Kurtzman out of his office and kicked him off the lot. And he had to go running back to CBS and start doing Star Trek because he
usurped Star Trek.
Yeah, he tanked two major cinematic universes. First was the Sinister Six universe at Sony, and then the Dark universe at Universal. And after that, like, his career was hanging by a thread. And so he had that deal at Paramount or CBS. He went back there, took over Star Trek, and that was his life raft to try to get him back on his feet after his two major disasters. So
Yeah, and the other thing too is that Tom Cruise is notorious for kissing the butts of screenwriters. Like, you introduce yourself as a screenwriter, he will be your best friend for that time that he's in the room because he loves them. Even though it's like probably BS, just him trying to make sure you can get another franchise or another film out there. I've rarely ever heard him speak ill of any screenwriters that he's met or worked with, and so many that he wants to work with. It's really nuts. You don't hear that often from actors of his caliber.
Well, Matt, it looks like you might see Mike Beats Dix out there next week in Vegas. He's confirmed he's going to be in Vegas.
Cool.
I'll miss y'all out there. I wish I was going. I just don't have the fundage. Not right now. But no, like I think
Don't worry, if I get fired, I'll go.
Well, don't get fired, dude. Don't get fired. But yeah, I think this is a big deal for Matt and Trey. I think this is a big deal overall for Hollywood as far as like, it kind of sets a precedent for these kind of things that we're going to see going forward and on both levels as far as like the worries of South Park going woke. I wouldn't worry anytime soon, especially not until they sell out their portion of South Park. ActionCom says, what's the status of the Denzel Washington Equalizer series? You think Hollywood would go for that one?
It's the Queen Latifah Equalizer.
I was just going to say they got.
Unless he's talking about the film series, because there's two.
I think there's making a third film, I think, but it's just probably been delayed because
I don't know. The second film did not perform very well.
I thought I heard they were doing another one though.
I mean, they might, but now that they got the TV show, the question is like, would they?
I think the problem is that the next Equalizer movie needs to star Tila. That was a joke.
LGBT Tila, yes. Naked Fame says, every picture I've seen of Kurtzman makes him look like a smug, pompous douche that I wouldn't leave alone with a child. He also looks like he's going to cry if you raise your voice too loud at him.
Yeah, right?
he looks very soy.
Well, he's a 4-foot-tall leprechaun, so he's got a tiny dick, so he's angry at the world. What would you want him to do?
Listen, Jesse, Jesus.
Am I lying?
No, I'm not saying
the guy is like 3 feet tall.
I'm not.
Do you think he's got a little bit of anger issues over something?
I'm not going to answer that.
Well, you should. Maybe it would answer a lot of fucking questions. You know what I mean?
Do I think? Maybe. I'll say it that way. How's that?
I'm wondering what Paramount's going to do with all their Tom Clancy properties. Because I know that they sold off, the rights to Amazon for the Jack Ryan series and the Without Remorse movie and stuff like that. But I'm wondering if they're planning to, I don't know, take those back, or if Amazon's got their claws in those things.
That's a good question. I'm wondering about that as well.
Well, that actually brings me to a somewhat related but different question. Paramount has been very where they've gotten a lot of this money, I can tell you, it's where they've made all these streaming deals. And that's the thing. Paramount hasn't been too worried about exclusivity up to this point. Do you think maybe part of this whole deal with Matt and Trey and some of the other moves they're making is about that now? They're realizing, oh shit, to get people on Paramount Plus, we need some more exclusives besides the Star Trek show that nobody wants to watch and The Good Wife?
No, I think a lot of this stuff started with Les Moonves, where he was looking at CBS All Access as the future of the company and the future of television, really. And so he was laying the groundwork for that. And now that the two companies have merged and they're just kind of continuing with it. The thing about what Paramount did with their movie properties, selling them off to Amazon, I think was actually kind of a smart strategy compared to what Disney and Netflix and all these other things did, where when they had movies that were scheduled to go out in theaters or Warner Brothers, I should say, not Netflix. They had movies that were scheduled to go out in theaters. They decided to release them through streaming after sitting on them for a year. But Viacom was we're not going to sit on these movies. We're going to just sell them. And that's going to be our revenue. And that way, we clear out our liability sheet. We get rid of a lot of our risk, and we get cash flow coming in. And so I think that the fact that they sold off the Tomorrow War, the Without Remorse, all this stuff to Amazon, because Amazon was flush with cash, they were just buying stuff left and right. I think it was a pretty shrewd move on their part. I just don't know going forward how that affects their claim to those franchises.
That's a good question. That's a good statement. And the other part too that I know why they did is that Amazon had a broader reach of market for those properties than what they had with CBS All Access and Paramount Plus. And Amazon Prime has more international markets than any of the other streaming services out there aside from Netflix.
Yeah, and also Paramount Plus's subscriber base mostly comes through Amazon.
Yeah, you can sign up to it through Amazon.
Yeah, it's odd. Like Amazon's Paramount Plus channel is far more stable and reliable than the actual Paramount Plus app.
I've never tried the Paramount Plus app.
Oh,
I have it through Amazon. Is it bad?
Yeah, it's bad.
Well, I think that the whole story with Amazon is that he needs to really buy everything he possibly can just in case Blue Horizon fails.
Well, I unsubscribed from the CBS All Access app after the first season of Discovery and then resubscribed through Amazon because the experience of watching stuff through the CBS All Access app was terrible.
What about HBO Max? Yeah. Have you used the app on that, which is incredibly frustrating? Have you tried that?
Yeah, it's a terrible app.
Isn't it just a train wreck?
I wouldn't call it a train wreck, but it's very unintuitive. It's not very
it's like you got to search for your own stuff that you think that it would be smart enough to figure that you're interested in.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because Warner Media and AT&T and all these guys, you would think that they would be smart enough if they're going to roll out, their own streaming service, that they would put in some effort to, have a nice user interface. Like Disney Plus is kind of the same thing. It's not very intuitive. But the thing about Warner HBO Max is that they really screwed the rollout. Like they weren't on Amazon Fire TV or Roku for like months.
Yep.
And that really hurt their rollout. So, I don't know who's running things over at Warner Media, but they are idiots.
Yeah. Then they're probably going to be gone by next year.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
What Zaslav does when he brings over his Discovery Channel crew.
They're strict yet don't get it. That's the worst combination.
Adam Wolford says, I know how to fix the whole Star Trek problem. Just convince Tom Cruise to make Star Trek movie. I think they would kick Kurtzman out to work with Tom. Yeah, but I don't think Tom probably has any interest in it.
Tom loves science fiction, actually. He's been trying to start science fiction franchises for
a long time.
Yeah, a while now. Yeah.
But Star Trek, though, is he into Star Trek is my question.
I don't think he actually has any preference.
I don't think Paramount would ever let Tom Cruise get a piece of Star Trek. I think it's too lucrative for them.
Is it still, though?
Yeah, well, they'd be worried about having to lose a part of Star Trek to him if it took off.
Exactly.
I mean, he's such a badass. He'd be jumping from starship to starship, just like Princess Leia did.
I mean, at this point, I think it would make more sense to bring in someone like Brandon Braga, like steal him away from the Orville and have him come back and try to revitalize like the classic feeling from Trek.
Or Ira Stephen Bear, because he's kind of available. So yeah.
That's not what they want.
Ronald D. Moore, like someone.
But that's not what they want. They want cool, least amount like Trek they can. They've already said that basically in so many ways.
And they want ass-kissing, non-creative types. They want people that they can dictate to.
Yeah. Dash G says, just curious what y'all think. Tom Clancy's stuff never seemed to live up to its potential except his novels. Movies and games were just okay.
Well,
I agree.
I think the Jack Ryan TV show on Amazon was really good. So I think that you can, and I know that there were plans to do like a Rainbow Six type series or movie series or something. So I think that there's a lot of potential there. Like I would love to see a really kind of in-depth Hunt for October mini-series or at least like a season of Jack Ryan that kind of focuses on the Hunt for October. I think that'd be like really cool. So I don't know. I think that there's enough of a Tom Clancy fan base out there that would respond to it. And I also think that, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but I think CBS has some type of ties to Stephen King because I know that they did the Stand miniseries. So
King's kind of freelance when it comes to his licensing, so they're all over the place.
Yeah, and I dig what you're saying about maybe making a series out of it, which would be cool. But what he's saying about the video games falling short, that's always been true. Because it's just like, you can see where they have potential, but they've never reached greatness.
I think Splinter Cell could be turned into a real kick-ass like original series for Paramount Plus. I'd be down for that.
I don't know enough about Clancy's stuff. I mean, I like some of the movies, but I've never really read the novels.
Mecha J, the Stand series was pretty bad. I did not care for it. But Stephen King has never made
honestly
very good movies or TV shows.
I think half the reason that wound up where it was is because I think they did the original miniseries to begin with, and it was probably more of a rights retainer at this point.
Probably.
Prof Gray says, how long before broadcast TV ends up on the streaming service, live ABC on Disney, etc.? Well, they technically already have that in some. Like if you have CBS, like you can broadcast certain things live. HBO used to be able to where you could watch HBO live. I don't know if
it's the new model, man. It's just a new cable company because the newest brand new apps that are so popular are the ones that combine all the shit you actually watch and then find ways to only pay for that.
I think
it's kind of cable on demand right now. That's what.
Well, yeah, Hulu and YouTube even have live cable streaming and network.
Yeah, they do.
As well. So I mean, it's already kind of out there, to be honest with you, Prof. Gray. But as far as becoming more prevalent, probably not much longer. If not, they'll just end that kind of broadcasting.
How long do you think like broadcast television has?
In North America, not very long, but other parts of the world, probably a good decade at least.
I'm going to go with 5 years, 4 to 7 years.
I'd extend that out a little bit more I'd say maybe 15, 20 years the most.
Around it will hold on for a very long time.
Yeah.
You think it'll go 10, 20 years here in the U.S.?
Yeah, and then you gotta look
at its current strength. No way, but it'll diminish. I mean, people
back in my day, we used to have a cable company, and the cable man would come around and put a box in your house.
Basically, you have to. It won't go anywhere until this last generation of people that basically refuse.
It'll age out.
Yeah, it'll age out basically. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's aging out with me. I mean, I've got a full blown cable package with boxes and all that stuff.
Basically, once I hate to say it, once my parents' generation is gone, then maybe, because like my dad is one of those. He's never used a streaming service, never will, and I'm sure there's a ton of other people like him, older than him too, the same way that they're just not gonna ever do that. And to them, watching TV on TV is the way they do it, and always will be until they die. So until like you get enough people to where it just there's not enough people watching broadcast TV. I mean, I don't think 24-hour broadcasting is ever going to go anywhere. It's just going to eventually be streaming, and that's it.
Yeah, the real question is, how is the commercial model going to adapt?
Well, I think YouTube and other services have already kind of figured that out.
Well, it's not really that part. It's because the commercial model is dependent on businesses that want to advertise through those means. So they have to. Those businesses also have to convince the advertisers that there's a lucrative means to interject or insert themselves into those new platforms, and that's not going to be easy, especially when one of the lucrative aspects of the platform is, especially for streamers, is no ads, no commercials. So it's going to be an interesting. Like we're really just in like the skirmish set time of the streaming wars before we actually start getting to the big heavy strategic
Well, that's
battles.
where I say television network broadcasting and all that still has a good 10, 20 years at least in it. Because it's going to take a while for all this shit to settle. And I think they learned over this pandemic when they tried to rush a lot of this stuff, it wasn't going to work out the way they exactly planned. It takes time and stuff for this stuff. Because there's areas in the U.S. that have shit internet still.
Oh, God, yeah. Like the United States is so far behind on internet compared to other Western countries. It's pretty bad. But that might actually what will keep some of the bigger networks a little bit alive longer than what would be otherwise expected.
And then Hyman D, if I'm saying that right, says Amazon is also developing Jack Reacher TV show with Paramount, correct? Matt, you'd know that probably more than anybody here other than Script maybe.
I honestly don't know. That's another Tom Cruise property. So if they are, I think I heard last I heard about Jack Reacher is that Tom Cruise has kind of washed his hands from it.
I was gonna say I thought I heard something like I can't remember who was like somebody was doing something with it though. I thought I heard, but
yeah, I think that it's kind of up in the air, but that's definitely something that I think Paramount could probably turn into like another franchise if they wanted to. I just don't think there's enough interest in it. I know that there are some hardcore book fans, but I don't think that the movies did very well. So.
No, they just faded off a cliff, and
the only thing
I
know
thank God, by the way,
it's an Amazon series, but it's very hush hush at the moment.
What was that? You got interrupted there. Sorry.
Oh, the only thing I know about the Jack Reacher stuff is that yes, it's with Amazon, and it's really hush hush right now.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So it's under Cloak and Dagger. Nikki D says, "How aggressive do you think Zaslav will be in executive decision making with Warner Media? Think he'll ever replace Hamada or Sarnoff if they don't deliver?" Boy, that's a lot to break down. I think he's going to be very cutthroat. Zaslav knows what works and what doesn't. he quickly made Discovery, whatever the hell their app is, Plus or whatever the hell it is, one of the most had to have apps. Not so much most watched, but the people who have it, everybody just like they have to have it. He's found ways to make it work for him, and he won't fuck around. If something's not working, he will cut it and move on. This is the kind of person they need over at Paramount. But anyway, I'm curious to hear what like Matt and the rest of the guys have to say. So Matt, what's your as far as Hamada and Sarnoff, they were already halfway out the door, so I don't think they're going to last long anyway. What do you guys think about this whole thing that Nikki D's asking here?
I think any shakeup at Warner Media is probably going to be a good thing because the people they currently got are idiots. So,
yeah, I very much concur.
And then I think that kind of answers the second half of the question too.
Well, I mean, the other thing too about these execs is, there's that old adage in business: 2 heads better than 1, 3 heads better than 2. Not when all the heads are morons.
Well, none of that. There's also the too many cooks in the kitchen problem as well when you have too many heads.
Exactly.
Jesse, anything you got to add to it? Did we lose Jesse?
Just taking a hit. He'll be back.
Here, let me make Jesse reappear.
Shit.
I'm gonna make him reappear right now.
Probably went to poo. You got all kinds of fun noises over
Jesse, are you there now?
Dash D says Tom in Star Trek makes sense. All his belief in Scientology will come true, and Michael Burnham will be the god or become God. It could happen. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
I'm actually surprised.
Hold on. It'd be like Mikey Burnham Jesus. No,
Yeah,
Mikey Spock Jesus.
I'm actually surprised that Tom Cruise hasn't been pushing more L. Ron Hubbard sci-fi stuff into series. So
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that would just be awful.
I mean, maybe the debacle that Travolta pushed with Battlefield Earth really did leave some waves, and that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go there again.
I also think the studios probably don't want to get into bed with the church.
No,
because the church owns the rights to all those things. So,
Stephen Otten says, "Hail Mead, wrenches in chat. Speaking of Tom Clancy properties, whatever happened to The Division? What that was set to star Jake Gyllenhaal? I don't recall hearing.
I think the video game didn't meet expectations, and so that might have sidelined the movie.
God, the previews for the video game were great, and the game itself just. Ugh.
Well, they made a sequel to the game too.
Yeah, it's also underwhelming.
Yeah, and I never opened it. You know why? Because it looks boring.
Yeah.
And then it looks like Valiant has an answer to Nikki D, or at least a comment to that. What do you think put the bug in Warner's ear to do the $9.99, or who do you think, to do the $9.99 HBO Max tier with ads 2-3 months ago? Savslov. And yeah, they're on. Speaking of the whole bringing in ads and stuff to this thing, I was going to bring this up before, but we got past it before I could. Yeah, that's the thing, is they're already working on ways of bringing ads into streaming, so it's not going to be long before they just switch over.
Pretty much. But the other part too is that if ads do get their way into streaming, that then goes back to the traditional television model where talent such as actors and writers can then use that ad valued as points to make more money, and also long-term residuals off of their shows on streaming. Because again, if it's a mid-tier stuff that has ads and people are watching lots of it, and those numbers can be found and used to actually extend cool service there. extend their ability to make something good and worth of value, because that's one of the things that's kind of being shockingly talked about around streamers, is that most of the people that are getting contracts with a streaming show know they're getting paid once, and there's no pressure to make it good because they're not going to be seeing any residuals from that. But that would change if you have ad revenue incorporated into the streaming system.
Yeah, I think that's going to be basically what I was trying to say before. It was like everything's just going to move into that arena, and instead of it being so much networks, it's going to be streaming services and or through like platforms like YouTube, where you're basically your own producer and you don't have networks to worry about. Max Relax sends us a thumbs up pair. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate that. That helps out.
And basically we just doing is replacing the television with the computer screen.
Yeah.
One of the more interesting aspects of the whole kind of COVID shakeup and the streaming emphasis is that actors are now like renegotiating their contracts for streaming revenue as opposed to like film backend and stuff. So like we've seen lawsuits with like the Black Widow stuff, and
Jungle Cruise,
Jungle Cruise, and all that stuff. And before that, when HBO Max made their announcement, like Will Smith and all these guys who had deals through HBO Max properties, their teams just went at the studio and were like, "Hey, we need to renegotiate this stuff, or we're going to sue you." So going forward, like streaming, it's a whole new paradigm, and we're going to be seeing a lot of people try to figure out the best business model for it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question?
A lot like network. Yeah.
Now, because you could buy movie tickets online, you don't even have to go there, right? Now, let's say there was some super rich asshole who really was a troll. Now, couldn't he just pick and choose, or as a group, pick and choose which movies succeeded and which ones didn't, just by buying tickets and never going to see the movie?
You could if you had that much disposable income to really sway it, but I mean, you'd have to spend lots of money.
Yeah, but you'd have to spend lots as an individual. But I'm just saying, possibly as a community.
Well, that's kind of what we do here in a way. Like, I mean, honestly, I do feel like we make a difference. Like, look at things like Sonic and a few other examples out there where I feel like those movies probably never would have done as well as they had they not had, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the community we have here is like some huge, massive portion of the fan base. But what we do have, I feel like, is a good enough size portion that we can get a good idea of what the majority kind of feel like when it comes to these things, especially when it comes to specific fan bases. So it's almost like we get a feeling of what the rest of the world feels like. But we, for the most part, we were just having this conversation the other day, like for the most part, you don't really have like a lot of people in my normal life until recently haven't really brought up a lot of things like woke stuff and things like that nature.
But they are
now, some of them, but not everybody.
For me.
Well, it also depends on who you hang around too. That's the thing.
You know what I'm actually more interested in when it comes to all this stuff is the independent filmmaking, that the potential that streaming has to unlock for them. Like, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but you can put anything you want up on Amazon Prime. Like, they have a service where you can like upload your movies or TV shows or whatever independently produced and financed through Amazon Prime and get like a revenue share off of that. Amazon Prime is actually a huge independent distribution network that indie filmmakers can tap into, and YouTube as well to a certain extent. But if more stuff like Netflix or some of these other streaming services ever decided to open the gates and allow independent filmmakers to distribute their stuff through them, it could be game changing in terms of like content production and the type of stuff that becomes available to people to watch.
Oh, it can become very cutthroat very quickly with who wants to be the best, and that would be amazing.
Well, I just think it would open the door. Like, I remember back when I was going through film school, it was kind of like the indie renaissance. This was when Kevin Smith came out with Clerks, and there was like a whole independent film scene that was kind of upending Hollywood. And eventually it got absorbed by Hollywood, and those indie filmmakers ended up becoming, mainstream filmmakers. But there was like a couple years there where like it was a very kind of vibrant and exciting time to be making movies because indie filmmakers were just kind of bucking all the rules. And I think that the stage is being set where we could see something like that happen again, as long as there's a distribution platform that allows those filmmakers to recoup their investment. Right. And
so is the leader of the next one going to automatically become a Judas in the future, like Kevin Smith?
I mean, I don't know.
Who amongst you will sacrifice yourself upon the altar?
Yeah, Brandon Wolf sends us another PayPal. Thank you so much for that. Says stupid fucking text to speech. I know how it is, man. Pay TV service like cable or satellite is dead. Broadcast TV free is not good. Most of the stuff they air sucks ass. Streaming fragmentation is too wide, so I have to be more picky about what I have and when I have it. Cheers, y'all. Yeah, that is going to be a big part of this. And then we brought this up in that we've already seen what the result is going to be. Is some people are going to pick one or two mainstays, and then they're going to hop around to all the other networks as they watch what they need to watch, binge it, and then move on to the next. Like, there was an article we covered recently where they talked about that, how that's kind of what a lot of people are doing. So yeah, that's basically the way things are working. And then Cesario GPN has one on the screen here that says Rainbow Six Siege TV series, diversity, wet dream. I'm not too up on Rainbow Six. Who here knows anything about that?
Really good
Nope,
shot.
no idea.
I know a little bit about it.
Matt, Jesse?
Well, I mean, so Michael B. Jordan took over the main role in Without Remorse, and Rainbow Six is like the sequel to Without Remorse. It takes that main character, and basically he creates a special forces team called Rainbow, and they go to these hot spots and fight terrorism and stuff like that. And so Rainbow Six is basically the 6 members of the Rainbow team who go out and go on these missions and stuff. And it was adapted into a video game that became very popular. And but Michael B. Jordan is the one who's kind of like at the forefront of the movies now. And in the books, he was a white guy, so they race swapped him. And I think that comment in particular was talking about how they're planning on making the 6 members.
Wet dream, yeah.
I have a totally different viewpoint of this franchise. Now, take all the cool shit that he just said and then take it into a video game where the gameplay is very mediocre and boxy, and it's just ABC fucking gameplay. Yawn and next. I don't see how they can make money off of this thing, because anybody who's really into gaming knows that these games have always been lacking.
Did you finish it? Because I didn't finish that game.
Yes, I did, but boring.
Yeah, I couldn't. I stopped. Doesn't take much to entertain an old Mexican like me, but it didn't keep me. So.
Like look at all the cool shit that Matt just said. So much fucking potential. Now you're gonna put it into this boxy ass game. Man. The only thing that made those games popular, even for a brief time, was the ability to set objectives for NPCs that were in your team, such as Overwatch or look out on the position, or move to Charlie, or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Willie sends us
disappointing.
Another PayPal donation. Thank you so much. Says, Tom, in your experience, you think Blu-ray physical media will come back with all the issues with streaming? It seems the limits of streaming services are being more and more apparent. That's an interesting point. It may, because I would say never, because you look at how vinyl kind of made a comeback. Especially when you could argue that MP3 is probably bigger than it ever has been.
I was in a Best Buy the other day, and there were 3 different vinyl phono player turntables for sale. 3 different models in the Best Buy.
I suggest you not buy one from Best Buy.
I'm just saying they were there.
No, I know, but if you want to buy one, talk to me first, Mike, of course. But
bro, I know what you're get. I'll get a Techniques 1200 Classic.
There you go. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say, don't buy one of those fucking suitcase.
I was a spinning DJ for like 30 years. Okay, so.
Oh, thank God. Okay, so you know what I'm saying. Then don't buy one of those.
I get you, but I'm just saying that just was it was curious to me, because that tells me that for years there was nothing like that in the store at all. Right, well, I'm just saying that shows that vinyl made a bit of a comeback
again, and that gets back to my point: is the reason vinyl's making a comeback is part of it's just kind of like a vintage kind of nostalgia kick for some people, but other people just like having that physical media, holding it in their hand, and in some cases, most people even know that CDs sound much better than records do in most cases, depending on the mastering. But it's just there's something about having it, right? As opposed to just having the MP3 lost in your MP3 player or, your phone or whatever. And it's kind of the same way with digital movies. Most people, I've even seen several articles go on about the whole getting lost in Netflix. When you sit down to watch a movie or TV show and you don't know what you watch, and you spend more time flipping through than you do actually watching something, as opposed to like when we used to go to the video store.
That's true.
You got 10 fucking minutes in and out. You had to pick what you
wanted.
wanted.
The thing is that
actually,
if
Tom,
you fall asleep and it's at the wrong episode, then you have to try to find the actual series so you could select an episode.
Actually, Tom, when I used to go to the video store, I would spend hours just looking at like all the different places.
I would too. But if my mom said I only had 5-10 minutes to pick my fucking movie, I knew what I was going in and getting and got the fuck out, because I knew I didn't have the time to mess around. But no, I'm like many people in our community. And I had this great conversation with Robert about this the other night, where I'm sure I drove this one guy insane, because I'd stop by the video store every day after school, and it'd take me 3 hours to get home, because I would stop at all the video stores in the arcade on the way home. And I would do that too. I would just go around and look at all the video covers, never rent anything. Just go around looking at everything and bugging the guys, asking when this was coming out or when that was coming out or whatever.
Once a troll, always a troll.
That's right. But no, I hear you, man. I could spend hours in one too. When I didn't have to have a time limit, that was never a problem. Goddess of Whim says, with streaming, we'll get ads like in the vein of the Truman Show. Boy, I'm so hungry. Yeah, I better go to McDonald's for the Big Mac. Those two all beef patties, special sauce is my jam. Max Cringe, you're not wrong. You are not wrong. That is definitely something that's going to happen. On top of, I think we're on this thin line right now with the whole advertising in older films. As soon as they can figure out how to get around the legalities of that, I think that's another thing we're going to start seeing.
Hey, Tom, what do you think is in a McRib?
A bunch of like bottom of the barrel pork pieces.
You think it's actually from a pig, though?
It might be.
Okay.
Whatever it is, it's delicious.
It's delicious with all that.
Oh my God, no.
I don't like the rib.
I will send you a video on the Instagram, sir.
I don't care. I know how they make their chicken McNuggets too. I still love it.
I've actually seen
Like they just put all the babies into a blender, fur and all. It doesn't matter.
No, the actual story of how the McRib came to be, I've heard it before. I know it. So yeah, I'm not.
Is it a Play-Doh mold?
Basically. Dash D says, after watching Jesse play Jason, speaking of gaming, seeing that arm come around the door and Jason being gone, I was very afraid for Matt. So you must have been over there watching.
Yeah, I'm gonna play some of that directly after this. That's what I'm gonna do.
There you go. Like
Hades has some kind of like cyborg animatronic AI that brings him a new beer.
That was just my girlfriend, and I can assure you she's far more deadly than Jesse ever could hope to be. So
oh.
Yep, that you know why? Because she's there when you're asleep.
Oh shit.
She will cut a bitch.
Look, a kitchen knife and a roll of paper towels goes a long way. Cartman taught me that. Thank you, South Park.
Yeah.
But yeah, even White Knight agrees we waste too much time on choice. Yeah, I found myself doing that more often than not. Just sitting around.
Oh, I'll go to sleep trying to choose a movie.
Yeah.
You know why? Because everything is shit. And the only things that aren't shit I've seen before.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I spend so long just scrolling through all the different streaming channels is because there's nothing good on there to watch.
There's that too.
Like when good stuff comes out, when new stuff comes out, like you watch it and you're like, okay, cool, I watched that, and then like you start looking for other stuff and you're like, I've either already seen all this stuff or none of this stuff looks any good.
You know, they could save themselves by having a giant wealth of documentaries, but they don't.
Snail Messiah says, why don't I have a member mark on you? Are you a member on the main channel? Is that why? This is actually a separate channel, but we do allow both members to cross over on stuff, so we don't require you be a member of both. But if you prefer to be a member of one or the other, that is your choice.
I could drop Michelangelo's and shit now.
Yeah, Snail. Yeah. So even if you're a member on Midnight Sedge, even though this is Midnight Sedge After Dark, YouTube doesn't let us
cross
memberships over, but anytime we do membership streams for this channel, you know, if you're a member here versus there, everybody's invited and everybody gets the notifications.
Yep. And
so you don't have to spend the money twice.
And I'm curious, Red Syrup, I seen you say rip South Park. I can't find the thing no more, but I'm curious why you think it's dead. Let us know. I'm curious why you think that. Xenobit says, have you seen the Lloyd Kaufman interview with James Rolfe? They talked about people not needing Hollywood and the internet pushing independent content. Yeah, I remember watching that a long time ago. And yeah, I mean, that's where I've said before, it's sad that we've gotten to this point where it feels like there's such a gate up and Hollywood will not note or take in people that are doing stuff on the internet. Instead, they're out suing them and shit. And I mean, I'm not even talking about just, Peter's doing the Star Trek thing. I'm talking about everybody, whoever does anything Star Wars or anything else.
Well, with the fan films,
hiring these people, yeah.
Well, with the fan films, they don't like that.
I know they don't. But they should just hire these people, though.
They won't do that because, again, you're like, it's basically like, well, you weren't good enough to get into us to do it professionally, so now you're just going to do it on your own and presumably make money, even though many of them don't. But the other part too is that people that go on YouTube or social media that make their own original shows, Hollywood does show interest in them. It's been known to happen of an internet web series being purchased by a studio.
Now, script. Speaking of this, when I turn Jesse Miller the Crow's Nest into at least a 2-season overarching story with all of my friends as the pirate crew, how about you help me shill that?
Depends on who's interested and how much they want to spend for it.
Well, what's funny is like,
Tell them a lot. It's worth a lot. Tell them it's worth all the money in China.
No, you would be the one telling them that. You're the producer, Jesse. That's how
it's
it works.
Worth all the tea, sir.
Jesse, I don't know. I don't know how to break this to you, but I don't think you're going to get two whole seasons on, say, a Netflix deal.
Why?
I always thought it was interesting that studios
look that show about that bitch playing chess got 2 seasons. Okay, I could get 2 seasons. I got an actual story in my head. This bitch played chess and act like it was hard.
Okay, well, we got a new member, Naked Fame, and Jesse is a member as well. So I suppose I better give you guys a video here. We'll do a lazy puppy. How's that sound?
Naked Fame. That, you know what? We should take a picture of my Bambino, because my Bambino is a lazy puppy.
Does he look like Ren?
Who? Bambino?
Yeah.
And Red Syrup answered me. He thinks it's going to be compromised like Star Trek. I would not worry too much about that. Matt and Trey have a lot more control over South Park than any.
It's their own thing. That's the thing. They're not shepherds of South Park. It's theirs.
It's theirs.
So if we could go back to the fan films for a minute.
Yeah, sure.
So I always thought it was interesting how a lot of these studios kind of like clamp down on like the fan creations. Start with Viacom back in like the 90s, where like they clamped down on fan fiction for Star Trek, and kind of escalated to a point where they kind of clamped down on fan films with Naxar and stuff like that. And I always thought that, like the fan community is what kept Star Trek alive after it initially went off the air in the 60s.
Oh, God, yes.
And like it's such a way to create free content that can promote a franchise. I always thought that it would make sense for studios to offer fan licenses where you could pay a couple $100 to do like a fan project. And that way the studio gets some money and fans can express their creativity.
And as an anthology, God, would that sell?
Well,
they can make a shit ton of money on something like that.
CBS,
You're smart, Matt.
For CBS, the only reason they did their guidelines is because Axanar was making money, primarily. Because again, they allowed a lot of fan films on YouTube and private servers and whatnot to go, because all you had to do is just send them a letter like, hey, I'm making this nonprofit fan film. And they're just like, okay, this is just fine. They didn't care. But
they've always had
$1 million.
They've always had a history of kind of like squashing fan creations for franchises. At least Viacom has. So I always just thought it would make sense. Like you want to foster that type of devotion and investment
and encouragement. Absolutely, yeah.
Like look at what Star Wars Theory did for his Star Wars fan film. Like I feel like the studio should give this option for fans to get like some type of like limited license, and if it starts making a certain amount of money, then the studio is entitled to a cut of that or like whatever. I just think like that makes sense from a business perspective. I don't understand why studios don't do that.
No, that's the Stephen King model with a bunch of his short stories. You can license them for $1 and do whatever the heck you want with them. He's got it on his website, and yeah, obviously I would suggest that's a good model to have for studios, especially for Viacom CBS with Star Trek. But again, that license would have to be something lucrative for them to allow it. And at the same time, you'd have to have like some sort of back end deal where if this thing starts taking off and making money exceeding a certain dollar amount, that's when the IP holder has to get more heavily involved in either continuing it and providing investment or taking more of a take, or being optioned to cancel it altogether if they just don't like it.
Yeah. Dash D says, dang, Mike, I can give you the number for the Orkin Man. I'm pretty sure roaches aren't supposed to be funny. Or furry, sorry, not funny. He's making fun of your dog. We got this just came across the transom from our buddies over at Geekosity. Looks like Sony and Disney might be discussing a Spider-Man X-Men film. Interesting. Sony, this comes from Edwin Francisco, who says, Sony and Disney are currently discussing a crossover film with Spider-Man and the X-Men. The walls have been broken with Sony and Disney. Our sources reveal they're working to get the franchises together. Since these are early discussions, there's nothing concrete at this time. But if all goes well, they hope that Marvel Studios will pull the trigger. Spider-Man has been well known to collaborate with other Marvel characters, so this is not a surprise. It's more of a surprise if it doesn't happen. And then it gets into a bunch of the comic stuff.
Comic stuff, huh?
So yeah, there we go.
Tom, pop quiz hot shot. What am I holding up?
I'm not looking at the screen. You got a Hulk number 180. You're digitized, but yeah, looks pretty good, man.
Do I see something?
Don't open it.
Why? I love this. Look in the very back panel. That's your first image of Wolverine ever.
And you're fucking just holding it like that.
Yeah. Well, it's in very good condition, and he doesn't seem to be tearing it, so I think it's okay.
Yeah, well,
I don't have it by the spine. I have it by its natural rolling points. But you know,
you're getting hand oil all over it.
It doesn't matter. This is only like I would consider this to be a 6.5.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad, but it's not good enough to be part of a permanent collection. It's more of a sell to get a new one. Put that over there. So don't fuck up Wolverine is what I'm
getting. There you
at.
go. Well, this might be an interesting crossover. What do you guys think?
Who's going to be Wolverine? Because it better not be you jackballs. If it's Hugh Jackman, I'm just going to make so much fun of this till the point where it becomes sickening.
I was waiting for that. Well, I don't know. Has he still skipped leg day for the last 18 years that he's been playing Wolverine without a yellow costume? I don't know. The way it's presented in the story here is it's somebody's pitch, and they're kind of more or less hoping that they'll be on board with it more so than it actually.
Well, yeah, but where's the pitch coming from? Is it coming from
That's
the
the
Sony side of
question.
things or Disney side of things?
It's coming from a bunch of Hollywood morons who are going to suck a bunch of ass to try to get this guy back into a movie and ruin the overall arc of having the X-Men come into the MCU, and therefore collapsing the whole fucking thing within 10 years. But whatever, that's just me. I'm just an asshole on the internet.
If I had to take a guess, it sounds like it's
no. You're not an asshole.
Side.
You are the next most successful producer in Hollywood with your own 2-season TV series deal.
And Bryant Barth, Jesse famously hates Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. So there you
go. He's too tall and not hairy enough.
And he's a pussy.
Oh.
I'll throw it out there. Go sing some more show tunes. You're not fucking Wolverine. I'd like to see this guy last 1 week on an actual fucking lumberjack crew. Or any fucking actual work crew. Any work crew.
Is that what ruined it for you? That he did a Broadway musical movie?
Oh my God.
No, is that what ruined it for you?
No, what ruined it for me is that the guy is fucking soft. I don't give a fuck how many push-ups you do or what kind of personal trainer you get. I can see that you're soft from a mile of fucking way. You know why? Because you've been dancing and doing show tunes your whole goddamn life. But you know what? You're not fooling me, pal, okay? You're not fucking Wolverine the end.
I think it takes a level of confidence to do show tunes.
That actually worked out.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if it takes confidence to do show tunes. That means you're getting up there and singing a song. Wolverine is supposed to be a badass. There's a whole fucking different world associated with that. It's confidence under fucking pressure. Do you even know what fucking pressure is? I don't think so.
I'm gonna start
I do. You know why? Because I've been in a burning fucking building. You ever been in anything that compares with that? I don't fucking think you have.
No, I've only lived in a building.
But you're a Hollywood guy, but you'd know better, right?
I do know. I've been stabbed in the lung. that doesn't. I wouldn't recommend that.
Here's Jesse meeting Hugh Jackman for the first time.
Oh shit!
Yeah, exactly. Get the fuck off my lawn. Who the fuck are you?
The X-Man style and methods just won't work well with Spider-Man's happy-go-lucky beta character. Just my opinion. I don't know. I think this next movie he's going to come to a little bit more into his own, but we'll see. Anybody else got?
I just think anything Marvel touches is a bad idea and turns to crap.
Well, that could be true. Xenobit says Zendaya.
What the fuck is a Zendaya?
Zendaya.
She plays Michelle in the Spider-Man movies.
Oh, you mean the MJ that's not MJ until he can't act? Oh, that's going to be great. By the
Yeah.
way, X23, it's not X32.
Well,
She's a goth chick, dude. What the fuck?
I know, but
She's a white girl and she's a goth chick. She used to be pimped out by a guy who used to like to pimp her out to guys that like to be cut. This isn't a role for some little girl out of the fucking Spider-Man movie.
Zeno's aware of that, but they're not. And that's the joke I believe Zeno.
I know, and it drives me fucking crazy.
I just want to say for the
everything
record
about Hollywood drives me crazy. They suck.
Tom, I want to say for the record, it's awesome tonight not being Mexican Iron Man rant night and it being Jesse rant night. This is awesome.
Well,
yeah, because you know what? You hear enough of this bullshit, and eventually you've had enough.
Let me read this at least, Jesse. Zendaya will play Wolverine as X32 or X23. Zendaya will also play Silk in place of Spider-Man. They will also CGI age Zendaya so she can play as Aunt May.
She's also in the Dune movie.
Which one, Dune or something else?
The first Dune.
Oh, yeah. Stephen Otten says, then who should play Wolverine? Well,
nobody known in Hollywood. How about an unknown actor? How about a guy who actually looks like fucking Wolverine?
What about Joe Montigliano?
No.
You want somebody like Danny DeVito.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I want somebody who's actually like, somebody who actually worked for a living, who's about 42 years old and actually looks like he could handle himself in an actual confrontation. So maybe then he'll have the confidence to really come forward with something coming out of Wolverine's mouth. You know what I mean?
How about Frank Grillo?
Who? Screen share it. I'll give you a yes or no real quick.
Are you looking for like a young Clint Eastwood is what you want?
Wolverine ain't young.
No, but I mean compared to now.
Wolverine's supposed to look like shit. Get over it.
No, I'm talking about a handsome fella now. Like he's like 90.
Yeah, but that's way too old. You got to find that happy medium.
That's why I'm saying like a younger Clint Eastwood.
The younger Clint Eastwood does not match Wolverine whatsoever. He's like way too tall and he's too skinny. He doesn't even look like Wolverine.
Well, then what the fuck, dude? Then why did they model him after him in some fucking pictures then, dude?
Because that's an artist's conception of an existing character. That has to do with what they like as an art style. It has nothing to do with the overall character they're in.
Okay, so go ahead.
Well, he says Robert Meyer Burnett recently did an interview about Axanar on his channel, and he really goes into why a fan project didn't happen. Yeah, we've also talked to Robert back in the day, and Alec for that matter, about the whole thing.
You've had Alec on the show or the Day Show?
That was way back. We interviewed Alec, and then we interviewed Robert Meyer Burnett, and we brought back Bill Hunt to talk about it. I was one of those charter members
giving Axanar $100 a month for their project. And then I watched that guy just screw people over people. And then when I saw what he did to, or learned what he did to Rob, who was largely quiet on the whole matter, I bailed on that project.
Yeah, basically our video he did with us is the first time he really opened up about it publicly. And same thing for Bill Hunt. So I do suggest you guys check that out if you haven't seen it. Dash D says, I've seen some suggestions that Keanu Reeves should play Wolverine. Maybe.
Too old and too tall. I mean, no, not wrong body type.
So all right. So basically, Wolverine should be a 5'3" midget.
It should be you, Mike.
He should be between 5'4" and 5'10" at least.
Okay,
like 5'10" is really pushing.
So Mike is the perfect Wolverine.
He should be like 5'4" to 5'8".
All right, can he be Mexican?
He should be wide and he should be jacked. No, he can't be Mexican.
Okay, I'm wide, but I'm not jacked. Mexicans, well, I don't have that much hair on my body. Actually.
How many Mexicans were in northern Canada in the 1847 to 1849 range?
Well, none. We were over in California.
Precisely. So why would he be Mexican?
Well, I don't know. I'm just asking, Jesse. I'm trying
God forbid he's French.
We've got the COVID coming. I'm trying to get work here. Kadish, give me a reference letter. No?
I feel like Jesse's one of those guys who he's almost arguing for only trans actors can play trans characters at this point.
You know what? For Wolverine, only Wolverine can play.
All right,
Wolverine.
so Jesse, let's
can't have some Hollywood pussy play this guy. Okay?
Oh no, you're not going to start talking about
bush.
We are not going into the bush zone tonight. No.
What bush? The 70s bush? Are you a bushman?
I'm censoring you.
That beep isn't long enough to censor me.
Shit, I know it's not.
The only good actor I know in that height range is Daniel Radcliffe, and it'll take a lot for him to beef up for a
Wolverine. Dude, did you see that picture of him and the hot chick from that movie? And then they're in the fucking back of the limo, and it's like
so now you're just actually advocating for Harry Potter as Wolverine.
Oh God, no.
Well, then what do you? So who would be the Wolverine then? Put somebody. Don't give me.
Look, if you took 3 Daniel Radcliffes, right, and you glued them together, so there'd be one guy who actually has a masculine physique, then maybe, okay. But there's not enough testosterone pills, and there's not enough protein builder at GNC to do that. There just simply is not. Plus, rectum fuckus, whatever they used to say in those stupid movies.
I'm with Annabelle. He's calling you out. Harry Potter Wolverine.
No, not going to fucking happen. Look, Glenn Danzig. Okay. In 1985, Google fucking maybe.
Google now, Frank Grillo. Google Frank Grillo.
I'm with Naked Fame. You're being a weirdo. We have prosthetics. There's movie CGI. Naked Fame brings up a good point.
Frank Grillo.
Willow. Grillo.
Frank what? Frank Rizzo, open your ears, jackass.
Yeah, right. Hold on.
He's a little tall, but yeah, he's got a face for it.
I got a picture here. Hang on.
Yeah, thank you. American actor.
Yes. There you go.
He jacked.
Oh, yeah, I'm not that jacked at all. In fact, I'm not jacked at all. In fact, I'm negative jacked.
Dash D suggests John Bernthal. That's the guy who played the.
See, at least this dude looks like he can fucking fight.
Better yet,
Jesse, if you haven't seen Boss Level, you really need to.
Okay. Well, see, now extend the hair.
It's free on
Hulu. How far of a jump is this from fucking Wolverine? That ain't bad. Put the yellow suit on him, this ain't bad. Very, very, very nice.
No, Jesse, how many hours for a guy near 55?
He was actually Crossbones in the Avengers movies.
Yeah.
So.
Well, fuck that, because that movie that actually sucked. I remember that. That wasn't a good representation of Crossbones anyway, because he just kind of.
That's not his fault.
Yeah, it was. It was writing once again.
Jesse,
but yeah, that'd be fine.
Jesse, how much time do you spend per week thinking about what kind of man should play your ideal Wolverine?
0.
Okay.
Only when you guys bring it up.
I was going to say, now that you're part of this channel, at least an hour a week.
I got lots of shit to do.
I wanted to ask you guys, did any of you see the trailer for season 2 of Star Trek Lower Decks?
No.
That's still a thing? Are they insane? That's like Be Cool Scooby-Doo, but even dumber.
I refuse to watch it.
It actually looked
there's
pretty
no
good.
reason anyone would.
You liked that show, though.
I did like that show.
What?
You're biased.
What?
I like
Matt.
What
I thought it was a fun show.
I like Matt too much to get into a debate about Lower Decks because I think that show effing sucks on multiple levels. But I like Matt, so I'm just not going to keep.
I mean, I can understand why people wouldn't like it. I just personally enjoyed it.
How about it looks like a brain hemorrhage?
Well,
seriously, the artist that works and does the shit for my channel is way better than these people.
The trailer for season 2, I thought looked pretty interesting. So,
you don't take me there. Tonight's
I'm going to see Riker as an eccentric captain.
Did you say? Look, I know you live in Vegas, but did you say yes to the guy in the velvet suit that was offering cocaine?
Always.
Whoa!
See, that's the problem.
Xenobit
you don't turn down velvet suit guy, especially when he's offering drugs.
Look, I know that he's a very handsome black Englishman, but you have to say no.
Never. Not in Vegas.
Xenobit is curious who he thinks will play Snowflake in Safe Space. Alex
technically not characters.
The cast of SNL, obviously.
Mikey Spock. That's the answer for everything in Star Trek.
Mikey Spock. He's the bestest ever.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Alex Kurtzman as Snowflake, and Safe Space is going to be Paul Feig.
I think Safe Space is definitely Idris Elba. And
Snowflake. Come on.
Snowflake has to be Scarlett Johansson.
That's racist.
And I'm definitely going with whoever can't get work from SNL.
Key and Peele could play Snowflake and Stacy.
Key and Peele.
That would be so.
It's not only in the movie; it is definitely in the movie.
Naked Fame has the best suggestion: Brie Larson.
I finally introduced these guys, Matt, to the Key and Peele Gremlins 2 session.
Yeah, can you play that again, or is that a bad?
Sure, fuck it, why not?
Awesome, I love that so much.
Love
It is in the movie.
Are you talking about a crazy gremlin? I'm talking about a gremlin with eyeballs going all over the place.
He's got no other reason other than just look fucked up. I feel you. That is in the movie.
You are like a little child.
Jesus Christ.
If they ever do Mannequin, they got to get him to play Hollywood, for fuck's sake. They ever
That'd be sweet.
In the same character, though. Like, and I always bring up Hollywood when everybody's like, "Oh, they never had gay characters in movies." Like, what about Hollywood? That motherfucker was gay as hell.
Those two dudes got talent, but one of them is in that like with a wokey woke cast with the musical movie.
Okay, this is like what, almost 5 minutes, kids. So yeah,
Gremlins 2.
It's worth it.
I'm telling you, this movie should write itself. The first one was a classic. This should be pretty straightforward. Basically, all we're doing is maintaining the integrity of the original picture. We want to do all the stuff with the water and the. Can we help you?
I'm sorry. Let me introduce myself. Hi, y'all. My name is Star Magic Jackson Jr. I'm the Hollywood sequel doctor. So studio just brings me in to oversee things when they about to drop a deuce. So that's why I'm here, but don't mind me. I'm just going to be over here. Y'all do your thing. It's your movie.
Okay. Let's brainstorm.
It's going to take place in an office building. I was thinking, what if Gizmo gets wet from a water cooler this time?
Okay, hold on a second. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to step in here just 1 second, sweetheart. So what's wrong with y'all? Y'all looking like a bunch of sad sacks. This is G2, people. We're writing Gremlins 2. It should be a party with pizza and anchovies, pineapple. Just come on, lift up the spirits. Look, okay, I'm gonna put
He's like Gay Demolition Man.
into the mixture here. What if we do this? Everybody here gets to design their own gremlin.
I don't see that the gremlin design is broken.
It's called brainstorming, not brain drizzling, sweet pea. Okay? Shut your mouth for a second. Look, here's the thing. None of this is final.
So you mean like, what if there was like a brainy gremlin?
A brainy gremlin.
You talking about a gremlin with glasses who could talk and sing New York, New York? That's brilliant. It's in the movie done.
Whoa, you said that nothing was final.
That was before I heard the words brainy and gremlin in the same sentence together. It's done. I love it. It's in the movie next.
What about a spider gremlin?
You mean a gremlin with 8 legs and a thorax just catching?
Who did the soundtrack for this? But the guy who did Ninja
Oh
Turtles
God,
too.
it's in the movie. I love it.
Probably not,
Next.
but
What about a bat gremlin?
You mean a gremlin with leathery wings just flying around, flip-flopping, bust through a wall, make a perfect bat symbol in the wall, get outside, get in some wet concrete, jump up on a building that's just dry in place like a gargoyle gremlin. We are cooking with gas now. I love it. It's in the movie next. Could there be a female gremlin? Lipstick, boobies, bitch, you have me and little gremlin but JJ. I love it so much that it's not only in the movie, but it's definitely in the movie. There's no backseats on that one, no penny taxis. Yes, in the movie. Done. That's why we need a woman in the writer's room.
I don't know. A googly-eyed gremlin?
But you do know, because you talk about a gremlin whose sole purpose in this film is just that he looks stupid as fuck. Yes, it can be in the movie, and it is in the movie. Done. Next. What about you, Silver Fox?
Oh, electricity gremlin?
You just said noun and gremlin, like you play a Madden. You're just like a child. You have the brain of a child. You do not have a high IQ, but you haphazardly came up with a gremlin that's just made out of bolts that is zigzagging all over the room and is done completely in animation. You a crazy person, and your idea's in the movie. Done. Next.
So much cocaine.
What? You talking about putting Hulk Hogan, professional wrestler, turned actor, turned cultural icon in the movie where he break the fourth wall of the movie he's in by talking to the audience. You, sir, are a raging psychopath. Don't ever change. Don't let this town take that away from you. That's it. I don't even care anymore. We got the Hulkster in this bitch, so it's done. I don't have any more time. So let me just recap right now.
Now pick up the pieces, assholes.
Gremlin, electricity gremlin, Hulk Hogan's gonna be in the picture.
He's having a fucking aneurysm right
Vegetable
now.
gremlin, just write it up. I'm having so much fun. Thank you. It's all gonna be an actual film. Now I gotta go put some Cowboys and Back to the Future 3. Sayonara, y'all. Oops. No, okay, you guys know that none of that is going to be in the actual movie.
Perfect.
That's one of my favorites. All right, Xenobit wants to know. Oh yeah, we already got that one. But the next one was Trailblazer. Where'd that go? Trailblazer. Do you think the actor playing Trailblazer will use a bodysuit or CGI? CGI.
No, it's Danny DeVito.
Huh?
It's Danny DeVito.
I just came out blazing, guns blazing.
Yeah, Danny DeVito is going to be Trailblazer. That's what it is.
Really? You think
Sure.
so?
Why not? He'd do it.
He needs a bodysuit at least. That's too big for Danny. What do you guys think?
No, he could just bust out the old penguin bodysuit he wore in Batman Returns.
Jesse, DCB Titan says the same thing I did. So you want Peter Dinklage for Wolverine?
No, actually, Peter Dinklage, if he's willing to shave his head, he would be great to play Wolverine's buddy from Alpha Flight named Puck.
That, yeah, or Wonder Woman's villain, Dr. Psycho.
Yep. Yeah, but he is so bawdy. Could you trust him around Wonder Woman, or would he be trying to, just lick up?
Dash D says, every time I see this, I can get a vision of Marty Feldman in a gremlin costume running around in circle. Pretty much. That's pretty much what Daffy is. He's basically Marty Feldman as a fucking gremlin.
That's all good.
That is so true. And with that, I don't want to keep Matt too much longer because he actually has a life. And Script has work to do. I'm sure Mike has work to do. And Jesse's going to play some video games.
But I'm going to go in the pool first. Then I'm going to play some video
I don't know. I
games.
might do some MEAD radio or take a nap so I can get up and watch Suicide Squad.
Is that out now?
Comes out tonight or whatever. It's tomorrow morning or whatever on HBO Max. It comes out tonight in theaters.
But it's free to watch if I just pipe it on
HBO Max, yeah, at like 3 in the morning.
Yeah, that ain't bad.
4 in the morning for you, I think it is.
Alrighty. There's a new SpongeBob movie I need to see as well. Very important.
Oh, there's a Trey Parker Jr. sketch. I got to check that one out. Thank you for the heads up on that, Aaron.
No, the Urkel sketch is the shit.
I'm seeing Suicide Squad tomorrow in the theater.
Are you going to go in?
Yeah, I already bought a ticket. I'm going to go tomorrow.
You going to get the popcorn?
Yeah, just that this is
the big ass soda and possibly some nachos.
No, I usually get a large icy.
What you really need to do is you need to stop at Walmart beforehand. Get your ass
Andrew
a
says
Symphony
it's
bar.
now. Is it already on HBO Max? Did they drop it early?
Possibly. Be smart.
Probably. It's 9 o'clock Eastern.
I thought it wasn't supposed to be on until midnight Pacific.
No.
Screw it. Go look.
The first showing of it, with the first ticket I could get was for today, Thursday at.
It is already. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Just go watch it now then.
I guess I'm going to go watch it now. All right, kids. Well, I'm going to go watch Suicide Squad.
I'm going to go swimming.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And y'all got HBO Max. Go watch some Suicide Squad.
Well, there will be a test tomorrow.
Early, evidently. There will not be a test tomorrow because.
But if you want to know what the hell is going on in the conversation,
probably if you want to know what's going on in the morning, because I probably will talk about it. Check out the Salty Nerd podcast, which is also you got the at saltynerdvideo.com, as you say there right there on the thing there, Matt, right? And you're muted.
Go to saltynerdvideo.com. It takes you to our YouTube channel. And we got a video about Highlander dropping tomorrow. So if you want to check out our show on that. I can't believe
you didn't ask me to be a part of that.
I'm sorry, Tom. And tomorrow evening around 5 p.m. Pacific
That's the Highlander sword there.
There can be only one Salty Nerd Highlander video.
Right behind that box there.
We're trying like hell to get Adrian Paul to come on the show to talk some Highlander.
Nice. So tomorrow tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm doing a live stream with a couple of writers talking about how to ruin franchises. It's called the Bad Writing live stream. So we're going to be breaking down stuff from a writing perspective, storytelling perspective. So if anyone's around tomorrow around 5 o'clock / 8 o'clock, love to have you come into the chat. It's going to be on saltynerdvideo.com.
All right, so check out that, and Jesse's gonna be playing some video games later. It sounds like probably. Or
Yeah,
watching
I'm gonna go in the pool. Then I'm gonna watch Suicide Squad. Then I'll play some video games. Then I'll go to work again. Then I'll come home. Then I don't know what's after that.
So check out Jesse Miller at the Crow's Nest, and Script Doctor. You got anything coming up? Or are you just gonna be bopping around other streams?
No, I'm probably gonna go to bed. I'm really tired.
Well, I mean tonight, but I meant in the near future anyway.
I don't know. I'll probably be popping up on a stream here or there if I'm awake and schedule allows. So just follow me on Twitter and see where I will be.
There you go. And Mike, I see you had a video up, but you said it was more so just for personal stuff. So you do have a channel, but otherwise, where can people find you besides me?
Oh, well, besides here, Tuesdays and Thursdays this Saturday, I host a Star Wars show right before Echo Base Network live stream with Stone Loki. And that starts at 5 o'clock Central. And we go for about an hour and a half. And I become Darth Poppy, a dark Mexican who has been drawn into the Force. The red salsa flows through me.
See, now you got to get a mariachi band to do a version of the Imperial March for you.
I have that. I'm mixing that in right now. How did you know?
Because I know how you think.
That's exactly what I'm doing. That's why I got the soundboard.
Mike, I know that on Midnight's Edge Espanol, it's a little straight-laced. You know what I mean? But it's like there was that guy, the Brown Buffalo, who was the character Dr. Gonzo in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. But he was actually a very important figure I found out last night. Yeah. You guys might want to do something about him because he was very interesting.
All right. That's a good idea.
Yeah, he was.
Look at you, Jesse. Look at
Hunter
you, Jesse.
S. Thompson's buddy. Yeah.
Jesse, you are a producer.
Yeah, but they you know what, they talked about him like in the movie, like he was just, oh, that's my lawyer. It sounded like it was a joke. No, it wasn't a joke. He was pretty fucking famous. The whole reason for that book was that they were fleeing the law at the time because of him.
Well, everybody get out.
Very interesting.
I know it's tough for everybody in the stream, but with I know kids are back in school, but try to get out and see a movie. Restrictions notwithstanding, or however they are standing. Let's watch the entertainment, whether it's at home or at the theater. Let's watch new entertainment.
Absolutely.
Go see Pig.
There you go. And Jesse recommends that. So with that, I think we're gonna close things out so I can go watch some Suicide Squad and yeah.
I have registered your opinions.